Welcome back to the Comics Aficionados, live right here on Thinking Critical YouTube. We hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Got a great panel of all-star comic book experts, pop culture experts at that. We're going to talk about all that good stuff. We have returning to the channel, Jerome, a.k.a. Do Mega. Where you been, Jerome?
Oh, man, just working.
Making
working
music?
hard, cleaning the house, doing a little bit of that. Went on vacation, went to Pennsylvania, went in the mountains with the missus. Had a fantastic time, just zoning out, just having, some nice R&R. Now I'm back. You'll see me a little bit more wandering around and, speaking on the sidelines, when need to be. But it's a blessing to be here with all of you.
You with the vacation on Pennsylvania and in the woods? I see you got the guns out there. Did you kill an animal with your bare hands?
Oh, no. Kayaking, climbing mountains. Yeah, cooking.
Are you a
cooking
hipster?
Good meals. Hey, my fiance, look, she's from Albania, so her whole lifestyle is opposite of mine. So
Very
it's
nice.
like when we go out, I'm learning from her. I'm learning the things that she learned, from her side of the family. So I'm having a great time, so they're used to that. Going out, going far, going in the mountains, kayaking, cooking, just living it up. Quiet, peace of mind. You come back to the city, you have that longing feeling like, oh, I want to go back. But it's good. It becomes addicting, and you do it all the time. This is about the third year we've done this already.
Very nice. I know exactly where you're coming from. Obviously, I'm here in the Philippines with my wife. She's American, so it's always fun to learn new stuff and new cultures.
Absolutely.
Who else we got here? We got Skip and Tosh. Return to the channel. Where you been, Skip?
I've been in the chat.
You got a new setup. Where'd the green screen go?
Yeah, I still got it. I got the green shirt right. Nice. Martin the Martian. I'll be a floating head if I turn on the green screen button.
So have you had any buyer's remorse on that Sacramento Kings draft yet?
Buyers. He got MVP of Summer League. No, I don't have no buyer's.
Did LeBron James get the MVP of Summer League?
I don't know because I can't stand LeBron James.
Because it don't matter. Who knows?
Summer League doesn't matter.
They get rings now. Summer League is. What are you talking about?
They get rings.
They get rings. Hey, Sacramento Kings winning the championship. Didn't you guys see that dude that bet $10,000 on the King winning the NBA championship this year? If we check out, he's cashing out at $10 million, baby. Come on, let's get rich together, Wes. Put your money where your Skip is all I'm saying. Okay.
I'm glad that you still have faith in the Kings. I don't know that it's going to be rewarded, but I'm glad that you still have it.
Hey, I still got Thinking Critical if that don't pan out. Right?
Well, you've also got your own channel, which is live again, talking about comic books on YouTube. If people hadn't noticed, there's a link in the video description.
Oh snap! Yeah, come see me talk about Ice Cream Man, some other comics. I don't know. Maybe one day I might be even lucky enough to have Wes appear on the channel. Ooh,
anytime you ask, I will make the time for you, sir.
Oh man, see, that's my brother right there. I appreciate you.
I should be on what is it? The Comics League YouTube channel this week. We recorded something, I believe, on Friday. So
I'll be all right. Yeah. Hey, they get an extra thumbs up now.
Who else we got? We got Jim from Weird Science DC. How you doing, Jim?
Oh, lovely. I'm here. I'm in Pennsylvania, stuck here. I don't get to vacation here. I'm stuck here. I'm not kayaking. I'm pretty much right outside of Philadelphia, so not a lot of kayaking here. But
you get good cheesesteaks.
Yeah, I could get that. And that goes against the whole idea of like exercise and get outdoors. My outdoors is going to Pat's and waiting in line for a cheesesteak. That's my kayaking.
But Jim, hold up, Jim.
Yes.
What's the future of Gabe Hernandez on Weird Science?
I don't know. That guy
Predator #1 at 9.0 out of 10. Are you kidding me? That comic book blew.
I actually just called in a wellness check to go check on him. I think he might be locked in his basement. I think that they may have gotten to him.
Kidnapped him or something. He's rating bad comic books good.
Yeah,
Was it Kev Walker? Was it because of Kev Walker? Yeah, I think was it because of Kev Walker?
Maybe it was. I think somebody's gotten a Gabe. I really do. I think that he has lost his mind. That's what he has done.
I couldn't. I don't think you can justify that rating, Jim.
Well, here's I always go with the idea.
Did you veto him or something?
The thing is, I try not to get involved with making people do scores a different way. Whatever I never do, we may have to step in. We may
have intervention.
Yeah, really. We'll have him on intervention.
Read some good comic books. Get used to what good storytelling looks like again.
Yes.
My goodness. So what's going on with Weird Science? Is the podcast is still live? Anything else special happening?
Same old deal. One of the things is we end up having manga reading clubs on our manga podcast. So each day of the week we have a different manga reading club, and they're on their own feeds. We had a whole feed with everything getting cluttered up. But if you want to read any or listen to anything about manga, including, I think it's My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, Chainsaw Man, Death Note, and Dragon Ball, all have their own individual podcast reading clubs. That's
very
wonderful.
Nice. We need to get those links over to Doc so we can learn about good comic books.
Exactly. He could get there reading right to left because, as well, he's always right, as he says.
I'm still not reading it.
You don't have to read it. It's a comic book. You can just look at the pictures, Doc.
Still not a comic book.
My goodness. All right. We also got Drew from Comics Elite back from C2E2. How was the big con? Was it good times?
It was good times. Friday was the single best sales day we ever had in the store's history. And then Saturday. Thanks. Yeah, Saturday and Sunday equaled pretty much Saturday. But yeah, it was a great show. Met a lot of fans. Got a little bit of the con crud, which happens. But doing it right. And
did you meet any fans of the channel? That's what
yes, I did. Friday, a lot of them came up on Friday. Sean and I took a lot of pictures on Friday. It was great. They're all asking for Kyle, but Kyle pussied out again, didn't come. So yeah, that's him.
Goodness, somebody needs to give Kyle a hug and give him a little encouragement to show up at the con,
or just kick in the ass. But I can say that because I'm his brother.
My goodness, I think he could take you though.
Nah, I don't think so.
What's going on with Comics Elite? You get anything special with the YouTube channel, or any special covers or anything people should know about?
So August 28th, Born of Blood, #1 is the FOC for my first issue, which will be out through Lunar Distribution. Be sure you reach out to your stores to order a copy before August 28th.
Definitely that. It's going to be different than the one that you got through the what is it, Kickstarter for that, right?
Yeah, we made so Joe Coralla came on and helped editing my books now, and he made some edits to issue 1. So yeah, it's gonna be a little bit different, but overall it's the same story, which is great.
Yeah. So if you're a big fan, definitely go get another copy of that one. There's going to be some great variant covers as well. All right, last and definitely least, we got Doc. How you doing, Doc?
I'm here. I'm all right.
What is that supposed to mean? You're doing shitty? You don't want to be here with us?
No, I like being here. I love it. It's my excuse to wake up on a Saturday morning, and other than to go do more work. This is something I actually like looking forward to waking up to.
I'm surprised, the Mrs. Doc still lets you do this.
Oh, she loves it. Gives her like 3 hours of fucking
entire Saturday morning. Go, hang out in the house.
Go do whatever the hell she wants rather than dealing with my ass. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Did you see that thing they have in China where when you go to the mall, your wife can rent this little booth and put you in there, and you can play video games and watch TV, and she knows where to find you when she's done shopping. Isn't that awesome?
I feel like that's called like husband jail, but hey, if it's any consolation, there was a thing back in like the 40s and 50s and 60s. It was a booth you would stick your wife in because apparently something that they pumped into the room would help with healing energy. And even though they knew it was bullshit, the one guy that was a college professor bought it because it gave him 4 hours of peace and quiet from his wife.
That's a wise investment.
I know.
Gotta do. We do have a couple super chats here. Let's hit them quick. We got Lane Kraber. Doc is right. Is go. What? We guarantee demonetize. Well, yeah, absolutely. Doc is going to demonetize the channel. It's kind of it's like playing with fire, Doc, and I'm always getting burned. You know what I mean?
You're welcome. We love you.
He also has to say, so what more likely gets canceled first? Fitzmartin's Tim Drake Robin series or Alyssa Wong's Deadpool? I so want to read Tim Drake, but it's doomed.
Deadpool. Alyssa Wong will get that book canceled before Megan Fitzmartin's Tim Drake. DC
Marvel does seem to have higher standards when it comes to sales and stuff like that. They're still producing stories in that Wonder Woman Child of the Amazon stuff, and it's still not selling it. They're still making it. There's a good chance it gets to 8 issues.
Yeah, I don't expect Alyssa Wong's to make it past 5.
5 will be,
on the first issue, it will get retroactively turned into a miniseries. But yeah, that one will last shorter than Megan Fitzmartin's, because the DC won't give up the gay Tim Drake thing, or by Tim Drake, whatever the hell it is. But everybody knows Alyssa Wong's a charity case, so they give her work to keep her from calling CB Cebulski a racist again, and then they just cancel her again, and then move her to another thing. It's never mind. I was going to say musical Asians, but
you could have just not said it. You had some pretty good instincts there for a second, Doc. I was like, he's like growing up, but apparently not. Let's get into this first topic. We talked about it a little bit last week. It was all kind of breaking at C2E2. Chris Claremont had a spotlight panel, and he just had a case that apparently had the I don't give a fucks, and just started kind of making fun of, making light of the recent, I guess, who was it? Victoria Alonso saying they should be called X-Men because, the word man, and he starts talking about or persons in black instead of men in black, and X-persons and 4 white guys and a Marvel girl, whatever. Obviously, you were there. Drew. Did you see Chris Claremont? Were people really upset?
I was not there specifically. I did see Chris a lot. Chris was talking with someone we work with. Not going to say who, but I do know that he did upset a lot of people, and I do know some of these YouTubers who were there that he did upset. And these YouTubers, these guys, I'm not going to say who they are, but they're Gail Simone simps. That's all I'm going to say. So pretty much anything that Chris says, they're going to disagree with. And I agree with what Chris said. Hey, if I get to a certain point, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be blunt and honest about it. I'm not going to tiptoe around things. That's what Chris did, which is great. I love Chris for what he did. And for these YouTubers to put him on blast on Twitter, shame on them. It's just wrong. You don't do that. He's being honest. It's a panel. He's not going to kiss your ass. So
and to add on to that, you got a point on that, Drew, because you know what? Like, I got up in the morning and it was like the same individuals you was talking about. They did such a beautiful job of slicing and pasting and taking the best of the parts that they felt like that was inflammatory, and they magnified it by 100%. So once you read the entire thing, you can clearly tell if he was in your face, he's playing with you. Like, he's joking along while he's saying what he had to say. You can't take it all and seriousness. And it was just like, these young guys that's on there, with their little media platforms, they're doing a disservice because they're not staying into the middle of it and bringing the news in a way where the viewer can make their own decision on their own mind. I think that's very unfortunate, and that's one of the bigger problems that we have right now inside of the media. They take this left or right side and, they just go and magnify it by 1,000. So yes, I agree with you there. He was saying some factual stuff there, but they didn't say that. They took all the crazy stuff. If he says something about Tessa, it was like that got magnified by 10. But what about the books? He was talking about the editors. You didn't hear anything about that. Like, come on, there were a lot of points there to digest. So it was like, it was better to just take the entire layout of what he was saying and read it personally on your own, instead of taking the cues from some of these outlets that were, taking a side already before, anybody can assert to it and take it and take it for their own meaning. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I appreciate Chris for saying it out loud. He was saying things out loud that we all, think to ourselves. And he said it. Chris said, "This is the guy. He is the man." And of course, the simps are upset, but
listen, Doc is a Chris Claremont simp, and he was upset.
Actually, when I first saw it, he was the guy. Him and that nerdy girl was the first guy I was trying to go with. Like Doc, I think Doc was in his ear. It sounded like Doc. It was like, this is Doc right here. Was Doc at that event? Yeah, and then were they drinking? Like, were they drinking behind stage? And he told him something. It sounded like him.
I wasn't there. I don't like Chicago enough to go there. In fact, I really I hate being in the city of Chicago. So anytime I have to go there, it irritates me. I want to be out of there. Marginally, the roads are better in New York. The roads in Chicago are like went to Beirut after Reagan bombed it in 1981. And that's all the time. The roads in Chicago I live in Pittsburgh. We have terrible roads. Their roads made me wish for Pittsburgh roads. I hate Chicago.
Chicago did have some bad traffic, but let's not talk about roads. We're not the road aficionados. We're the comics aficionados. We got Skip. What did you think about the comments? Were you hopeful that something bad would happen to Chris Claremont, or did you get the joke that he was kind of trying to tell?
I always thought of Kitty Pryde as black in my head, so I didn't really understand what all of the uproar was about. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Me and Chris Claremont's headcanon is in the same place. So I didn't really get what all the fuss was about. Like typical, hey, look, first of all, it's Chris Claremont. He once a man gets past a certain, I guess a man and a woman, but especially a man gets past a certain age, I have to flip a switch in my head on the stuff that they say. Because it's like, it's kind of like some senile stuff. So I'm just like, like old dude saying old crazy dude things. Like,
here's the thing.
All right. Like he's earned that. He's gotten to that age. My grandpa and my uncle say crazy stuff all the time. I'm just like, yeah, that's crazy old man stuff. Like
it's not crazy old man. We don't give a fuck about protecting your delicate feelings anymore. That's not crazy old man stuff. That's crazy. That's what crazy old men do. They don't give a damn. Crazy old men like are actually crazy and are losing their mental faculties. Old people that don't give a shit anymore are a lot more fun. There's a difference. The difference between old people that have lost their mental faculties and old people that
I don't think he's saying that he was actually senile, Doc. He's just saying he's an older gentleman. He doesn't really care. He's going to tell you what he thinks. It just so happens that he was on a C2E2 panel and being recorded rather than your grandpa who's at the table saying shit that would make people upset.
But was he recorded? I don't think there's no, I haven't seen any recordings or actual audio or video. All I saw is a bunch of no talent clowns on Twitter interpreting it to make Chris look as bad as possible.
Yeah.
To get their fucking vengeance boner, because he still outsells his reprints of his old comics from 1987 still outsell brand new comics today.
Yeah, but I don't even think it got to do with like how much Chris Claremont outsells or doesn't outsell someone. It's an easy target. This is one of the biggest names still alive in comics. He said some things that, could easily trigger people, and they knew that they could get clicks and comments and retweets and all that stuff from it. So they took it and they clipped it, little parts, and they put it out. This is like elementary stuff that people do for attention, these days. So I didn't take it as anything more than that. Chris Claremont just, don't give a damn. He said what he said. He's at the age. I'm not saying that that's stuff that I would have said, but Chris Claremont said it, and he said what he said.
Oh, it is stuff that I would have said because I say it every fucking week.
Well, and the sky's blue, Doc. And the sky's blue.
No. Here's the big reveal of the week. I am Chris Claremont.
That would be amazing. I would be very upset. I've been talking to Chris Claremont on the channel for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Never did a fucking face reveal.
I changed my voice. I use the face app on the rare occasions when somebody sees me. Haha, I am tricking you all.
Yes. Oh, that would be bad.
So, Jim, I know you guys at the Weird Science family, you've got a little Discord. Were you talking about this? Were people upset
No, they weren't upset. I mean, they were upset more of the reporting. And I'm with Jerome. The thing that I think is the biggest point is how it was reported, not what was said. These people, and Chris Claremont doesn't give an F. He doesn't, and he doesn't have to. So when he says this stuff, and even then, when you're in something like that, I'm sure then you get a reaction. Then you start to joke around a little more. And to take that out of context and just slice and dice it and put it up, really as a personal deal, I heard some of the things as they were being reported by the Twitter people and these other people, and I thought, whoa, that's crazy. And then I go over and I read it, and when I read the actual article by somebody who it didn't seem like anything then. It was, you know what I mean, like, Jerome, I'm with you. I sat there and I thought, like, wait a minute, this isn't anything that crazy. This isn't enough here. And it just shows you they were there waiting for him to say anything they can twist and turn, like you said, to get other creators like a Gail Simone possibly like, oh yeah, I'm on your corner. But again, that's the nonsense of, instead of reporting somebody as being good, you have to go and tear somebody down to prove that you like somebody else and up that. But it was a, almost like a hit job almost by the end, because reading the actual thing, it was kind of funny, but I thought it was actually, some of the things were true. I mean, he doesn't care, so he's just saying some things. So I agreed with a bunch of the stuff, but some of the stuff was just interesting, like, oh man, that's crazy. Oh, I was gonna do this, or I could have done that. There wasn't really that much to it to get that.
I was just thankful he never actually wrote some of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and he seemed at some point that way.
Story. Like,
thank goodness for Wheezy, right?
Yeah, seriously, it just shows you how useful Wheezy and Annie were, and how utterly useless Jordan White is now.
Yeah,
because this is some shit. This is like some Tinny Howard level fucking shit that he threw out there as possible story ideas. Jordan would say, "Go do it."
Yeah.
Annie
Chris told Kyle and I that storyline. He told us that 5 years ago. I remember we were at a show.
I've heard it in other interviews before too.
Yeah, that wasn't even new to me.
About what, guys? About what?
The Kitty Pryde.
Kitty Pryde.
Oh, he was dead serious at that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought just like, he just put that out just to stick
his
at the crowd.
Gambit story originally wasn't very good either.
No.
Yeah, the
Gambit we got is the right one.
You know what? I feel like I can't remember. I think it was Joe Kelly and Steve Siegel really kind of handled that Gambit thing well, because he was a lot darker of a character initially. He was a lot shadier of a character. Yeah. And then they basically just made him an X-Man. But they went back and re-explored it with him as the connection to the Marauders and the Mutant Massacre and all that other stuff. I liked that, and I felt like they should have explored that more. They only really did it for like those 5 issues, and then he paid a little bit of a penance following Uncanny 350, but not much. They kind of touched on it again under Mike Carey, around Adjective List 200, where it was after he was deaf and he was back to being Gambit again, and Sinister was trying to get him to run his Marauders again. They did explore it, but I felt like Chris could have done it a little better, as long as he was restrained a little.
You think he had a lot of time? Because remember, that was pretty much it. Was when did he appear? Like 265, 270 in the 70s. So he was already going towards the one with Jim Lee by then, right? I think that started around 283.
It was 281, and X-Men 1 came out the same week.
Yeah.
Or the same month. So, and then Chris left 3 issues in.
Yeah.
But remember, Chris had a lot of plans at that point. The Mutant War was supposed to come out when Extinction Agenda did. It didn't end up coming out at all. It's something that he'd been planning for a long time. His whole
kill
thing,
Wolverine at one point too.
The Dark Wolverine saga never happened. The Mutant War never happened. Bob Harris and actually Fabian completely undermined and undercut the whole finale to his 150 issue long, no, like almost 200 issue long work. Well, no, it would have been 150.
I'm surprised you said Fabian. I didn't know Fabian was a part of that.
Yeah, he did.
Insurgents.
He did Uncanny he did Uncanny 280, which basically killed the 175 issues that Chris had been working towards with the whole Shadow King arc.
Yeah,
and completely just, anticlimactic as hell with the end of the Muriel saga, because that was supposed to be the precursor, and it was going to happen after the split, and there being 2 books.
Yeah,
and that's when the Mutant War was going to end up happening, and then it just and then Chris quit after issue 3.
Thankfully, we have BIL to finish up the old Shadow King saga.
I know, right? Yeah, because that's totally a worthy successor.
Yeah, I think this Chris Claremont thing, the thing that I think is funny is when you hear a bunch of old creators talk about the things that could have been but were turned down, it's almost the opposite of now. It's you get those now, like the idea of the things, oh man, I was going to do this, but they wouldn't let me. Now it's like, what is being turned down now? Like you said, with Jordan White, the idea that these stories that they're yelling about, Chris Claremont, but they would have done this now. Nobody's stopping anything. So it's just odd for them to rail on this.
Yeah.
What did you think about him saying that no one's going to remember Krakoa in 5 years? I thought it was pretty funny. It felt really accurate.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to remember it.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember how disappointed I was. People used to come on this channel every single week. We talk about how amazing it was. It just fell apart in a couple months.
People will remember it. People will remember it.
Because of you go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say people will remember it. However, they will memory hole it whenever it comes to the kind of established continuity. They'll end up memory holing it as just, and then this happened for a little bit and they went and lived on an island. Kind of the way that they sort of memory hole
when it was San Francisco,
the Utopia era, and they sort of memory hole the Bendis era with the young X-Men and then Cyclops' team living in a old Weapon X facility.
Yeah,
they'll kind of memory hole that, but it'll be dead one way or the other.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like it's gonna eventually, the way that it's going, it has to end at some point in time, because the wrong people are there. They got to get out of there, and it's just like how we, countless times on the show, we just keep seeing the wrong individuals keep getting the better gigs. They're landing them like clockwork. They're on time. All the jokers that are not supposed to be there, they're supposed to run. Their time is up. They still there getting more books. Teeny Howard's going to get another book.
Right. You gotta have a book about Psylocke and Rachel Summers falling in love.
I know, right? An 8-issue limited series. It's like, come on,
event series. So we do have some chats from the super chats, and I do want to say thank you very much to everyone for supporting the channel. If you want to support the channel, you can do super chats if you're here with us live. But if you come in later and you want to support the channel, there is a link to a coffee account that I have. Also, you can get one of these great shirts at Redbubble. And that also supports the channel as well. So definitely appreciate all that. We do have Happy Steve. He says, "Good morning, aficionados. I can't stay for the live show today, so I got to show my support before I go. Catch you all in the replay. Have a great stream. Everyone hit that like button. We would definitely appreciate that. We're already up over 80 likes, I believe, already, but we've almost got 300 live viewers. That's amazing this early in the show. If you haven't supported the channel, give us a little thumbs up. Let everyone know that we're having a great conversation about comic books and geek culture and all that fun stuff. And definitely a huge thank you to Happy Steve for supporting the channel. I hope you have a wonderful Saturday, sir, and enjoy the replay. Callum Lyle says, She-Hulk's gonna suck. I guess that could happen.
Correct.
That looks like we're going to get into that a little bit more, but the CGI certainly is. MG says, anybody been following or have opinions the C2E2 Black Flag CGC influencer UF4 acetate saga? What an absolute mess. A lot of problems got exposed. Drew, you were at C2E2. I'm sure you saw it. Apparently, there were some Marvel acetate covers that weren't authorized that somehow got into circulation.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes. With because.
Yeah.
Oh God. So the way it worked, so they were getting graded. Like they were adding 2 additional staples in the book for the acetate cover, and CGC was grading them, as I guess as original comics, and now CGC's had to go back and they were going to be adding a long blurb at the very top of saying it's a long phrase but explaining it. It's like
just
no one's admitting wrongdoing at all for this. It's ridiculous. And not just that, but look, here's what you do. If you have a limited number of books, you do not sell every single copy to 1 or 2 guys who show up first thing at the show. You don't. If some guy asks for all 300 copies, you don't do that. You do an allotment. You do an allotment. We're allotting 10 a day. We're allotting one to a person, whatever. That's just what a dick does. You don't do that. And they did that. And that's one of the problems we have.
I mean, I don't understand how they can't just recall or void the label, void that, grading. So whenever you check the registry, it says voided, and recall them all, and just slap a purple label.
Well, what one of the Raman Salami said, they should have been green labeled. They should have been straight up.
Oh yeah.
Green. But
I'm sorry, green.
Okay,
for
right. All the people that don't know what you're talking about, what's the difference between a purple label and a green label?
Okay, Doc, go ahead.
Purple is the restored. Green is essentially modified.
So they've made a change to the original.
Yeah. Well, yes, if you've basically it's uncertified kind of improvement. So if you have a say an unverified signature, it'd get green label. Mm-hmm. And purple label would be say you buy a coverless copy of X-Men 1 or Action 1, and then you find just a cover and from an Action Comics #1. You marry them together, or you replace the staples in your book or whatever. You use paper pulp to fill, chips, whatever you do, anything like that goes into purple labels. Green labels, though, I'm pretty certain are for stuff like when you basically significantly altered it.
Okay. So, yeah. Drew, what happened here is they took some original comic books and they added an acetate cover to it.
Yes, and actually, I'm getting ready to send you. I'm going to send you an image with their response with what they're going to do, because they got a lot.
Well, no, why is it bad? We have people going out there and taking advantage of customers saying we have original acetate covers that were never supposed to be out there,
and that weren't approved. They were not approved by Marvel. Marvel had no clue about these, which is another problem too.
Yeah. And it was a facsimile edition. It wasn't even first prints. So it just makes it even more ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had CGC grading them as if they were authentic.
Yes.
Yeah. And had 9 9s and 10 point. There was like a 10.0 or a few 10.0s that got graded too. For a facsimile edition that had been sitting around because they did the facsimile editions like sometime last. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I knew it was more than a year ago.
I think it was 2020.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. It was late in 2020, I believe. Yeah. So with the different covers, so those ones were actually approved by Marvel, but then I guess they wanted to just create some additional uproar. So yeah, they slapped the acetate covers on top of the facsimile editions. I think they had 750 left from the original, because I think Marvel makes you do at least 3,000 when you do the little, like when you collaborate with the artist, you want to do an exclusive. So I guess they had some left over from the 3,000 they didn't sell out, and those are the facsimile copies that they used to throw an acetate cover on top of, and then had them pre-graded and then sold. And I guess some of the people that they sold in bulk, there was like influencers, flippers, and
the whatnot crew. I hate calling out people, but some whatnot people. Yeah, they were flipping them for like $500, $700. It was
ridiculous. And those are the people that they let cut to like the front of the line and stuff.
Yes.
In order to buy in bulk, because they were letting them buy like 100 plus some of them at a time.
More.
Just so everyone understands, the process for getting like your own con exclusive or whatever is you have to get approval from Marvel. You can't just go and buy a bunch of comics, have a bunch of covers printed up, and slap them on there. Drew's, with Comics Elite, they have their own, process. So when you just once you just start slapping your own stuff on top of an existing comic, it's not a variant anymore. It's literally a bootleg at that point.
Exactly.
And in the collecting sphere for comics, bootlegs have very little to no value.
Well, the big thing is it has to make you question the reliability and the credibility of CGC grading the comic books. That's the big deal.
If anything, it doesn't necessarily question their legitimacy in their grading, but in their researching to determine whether or not something is legitimate.
There was extra staples.
Yeah, I understand that, but they may have thought, okay, well, Marvel's doing fucking weird shit these days. Who knows?
Well, we're not here to.
But again, they still didn't do.
What this calls into question is their reliability. If you're buying a CGC related comic book, how many other comic books have they gotten over on them without them noticing?
Oh, I remember we would have conversations with Pele about this. The amount of times that they've missed restoration, that they've missed a married cover. There's this whole thing with these weird, literally Chinese bootlegs of classic key comics that's going on right now, where they're actually finding old newsprint, so that the texture of it, because modern newsprint and old newsprint, the texture's all weird, it's wrong, it doesn't work right. They're actually essentially, it's like a counterfeiting job that's going on. There are certain counterfeit key books on the market right now, and CGC has been unable to detect them yet. So there's a lot of things now. However, though, CBCS I think is probably looking at this and drooling at the mouth, because this gives them the opportunity to take over that number one kind of market leader spot.
And we've had a lot of people, they've switched over to CBCS from CGC, not just because of this, but because of how a lot of books have been coming back from CGC. Their quality has really gone downhill.
Well, they did hire a whole bunch of new graders and stuff in the last 2 years because the demand went so high during the pandemic. But that's absolutely an interesting story. I'll see what I can come up with that. I might talk about it a little bit more on the channel if I can find somebody. But thank you.
I'm sorry, did you get the image I sent you, Wes?
Yeah, I'm not going to put it up on there. It's too blurry. It's
gotcha.
Not good enough. But I'll see what I can do. We might do another video on that if I can find an expert. Thank you very much to MG for bringing that up.
Just one last comment on this. I'm sorry. Somebody in the chat really does make this point. The more variants that Marvel and DC flood the market with, especially with all of the different store exclusives and this and that, keeping track of which ones are legitimate and which ones are not becomes exponentially harder when you've got 90 or 150 variants once you include store variants for stuff like ASM1 like 900. It gets very difficult to keep track which ones are legitimate and which ones are essentially bootleg.
So
we've been on this for a long time, fellas. We talked about it before the video even started. We're not getting stuck on a topic for 25 minutes. I do want to say thank you very much to MG for supporting the channel. Really appreciate bringing that up. That was obviously a fascinating topic, and we could definitely talk about it longer. But Cal Miles said it was funny because everything he said was true, and this generation is so thin-skinned sensitive that saying a simple word will get you branded. It's got a little point there.
Reference to Chris?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think you tie that in with people trying to get their name out there as well and trying to get clicks and things like that. And it just is, it's a crap show. It really is.
As a YouTuber, it's all about the clicks. We're in a click economy. You got a podcast. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I buy my groceries with clicks each week. My kids, I give them their allowance in clicks.
Exactly. That's how my kids go to school.
Exactly.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Very interesting stuff with the Chris Claremont. We got Chuck Skills. These people are upset, have never seen a Chris Claremont interview. He's always been blunt.
He's blunt and he's
British.
He's British with a very
He's got a little troll in him, Doc. Let's be honest.
He definitely does. He likes to screw with people.
And a dry sense of humor, too, that Americans don't always understand. So it's easy for them to thin-skinned Americans to get triggered off of Chris Claremont real quick.
He likes to
don't be giving the British a pass. They get more sensitive than anybody. Trust me. I lived in England for 4 years.
My mom's British, very sensitive.
You know what I'm talking about, Jim.
Yeah. She's a jerk. I mean, sometimes. So, there you go.
Hey, I didn't say they could take it. I just said that they dish it out. Actually, the Americans can't take it.
Skip's 100% right. That's how that is. They give it out, and when they get back, then it turns to a different deal.
Oh, man. Calb says, I love them roasting the Abhorring Eternals and Shang-Chi. I thought he said Shang-Chi was great and the Eternals was bad.
No, he said Michelle Yeoh was great.
Oh, the actress.
Yeah, Michelle.
And Michelle Yeoh was great. She was the only redeeming part of that Iron Fist movie. I'm sorry, it was an Iron Fist movie.
No.
This is a cool character. Danny Rand is a little off in the show, but
he went there. He went to Kunlun and fought a dragon.
Yes,
that's
Iron Fist.
That's the Iron Fist, not Shang-Chi.
It's also Swordmaster now. If you read that one series, Kenneth Dowling, friend of the channel. Good morning, peeps. Hope everyone is doing great. No one is canceling Chris Claremont, and F that writer who called him a racist. Claremont is the man. Hashtag Claremont Extreme Men X-Men Best X-Men Run. And you made that a really complicated hashtag. You could have put hashtag Claremont Rules. I think I would have got it. But thank you so much for supporting the channel, Kenneth Dowling. Good to see you got this weekend off. I'm happy about that.
What's up,
and I know that he's definitely one of the biggest Claremont supporters out there.
Yeah. Shout out.
Well, Wes, that if he didn't put the hashtag in there, it would have been a $5 super chat instead of a $10 super chat. It's all about perspective.
Well, I appreciate it. So what do you think? I didn't even see anyone calling him outright calling him a racist. That's not, that's everyone gets called a racist nowadays, Skip. What the hell, man?
Yeah, I know. I got called a racist like 7 times this morning, and I ain't even been awake for 2 hours yet. So I don't know, man. It's tough. Stuff out there on Twitter.
It's kind of the way it goes. Hate to see it happen to good people, but I think Chris Claremont's been in the spotlight enough. And he probably knew what was happening when he got that. Although I did talk to somebody that had talked to him at C2E2, and he said he didn't know what the big deal was. I don't know why they're upset with him.
Honestly, Chris probably doesn't. He's not used to dealing with hypersensitive pussies because he grew up in an era where you could bust balls, and nobody threw a temper tantrum because their favorite fictional character.
They jump you when you go leave the bar if you're mean to them. Saying there's like 5 dudes they want to stab you.
The weird thing though is even Drew
when you're trying to fuck their girlfriend, that's what happens.
Yeah, I think Drew ended up saying that he heard this story about Kitty Pryde before from Chris. It's like the idea that the story hasn't changed. It's just the times have, and people's reactions have changed to it. It's just odd the way that it comes out here that I think he might have been surprised of. I've told people this before, and nobody even batted an eye. They laughed at it. Now all of a sudden they want to cancel me.
Yeah.
It's just odd.
If you would have got a chance to do it during that time, would you think it would have worked?
No.
Okay.
No, it would have been.
It's a big matzo ball. I don't know.
That's where I'm at, Drew. I think about that time because he seemed like it's around that part where they did the crossover with Alpha Flight, right? Would that have worked?
But the thing is, you're swapping someone's race, and it's like that's pretty.
It wasn't, but
the weird thing is now they do it and they're praised for it. And when Chris Claremont says it,
hold on, Betsy
See?
Brown.
Yeah.
See,
he's done it. He had done it successfully before. However, he didn't make it about the race. He made it about, oh shit, this is what happened to me when I came through the Siege Perilous, and then never described what happened. Like that she actually got her body switched.
Yeah.
It wasn't until long after that you found out that you thought she just got changed by the body shop. You didn't find out that she actually got her brain basically switched with somebody else.
Yeah.
However, it was just it's a bad look. It's a bad premise for a story.
AL says that she has internalized misogyny, and people say that she's not a woman or Asian. Isn't that weird?
Is AL Alyssa Wong?
AL is a supporter of the channel.
I know. I love her.
Lady that loves comic books.
That's AW, Doc. That's not.
Okay.
He's Doc. Like,
no,
there's a lot of bad jokes.
I
there.
love AL.
Callum Lyle, off topic, but to be honest, do you think Wakanda will do well? Because I'm not holding my breath. I like the trailer, but just recast T'Challa, please. Skip, you are an enormous Black Panther fan. Do you think this sequel is going to do well?
Definitely hashtag recast T'Challa. I mean, it's not going to do bad. Just, they're going to profit off of the tragedy, and it had been so long since the last one that did so well, so it's not going to do bad. But I do think that there is one, it's just hard to recreate that, especially without your leading character, and then two, I think there is enough voices out there with the recast T'Challa movement. I mean, I think it's I don't think it's a large movement, but like news outlets and stuff like that, like major media outlets are starting to cover it. And
are you part of this movement?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm not quite at completely boycotting it, but I'm on that line. But I'm definitely part of the.
Are you in like the Fatal J Snyder verse? Like, is that your place in the recast T'Challa movement?
I mean, I wouldn't betray you like that. Okay, we're not. I'm not a Snyderite at a
no, like he's a leader of the movement. I didn't realize you were a leader of this thing.
Oh no, I'm not a leader. Fatal J is, I don't have the charisma that Fatal J does in order to have people actually want to. Yeah, that's just true. Yep. But I do believe that it definitely won't do as well as the first movie did, which would be hard for it to do. Anyway.
It did like $1 billion.
Yeah.
Hey, Skip, we really need you to lead the Leonardo DiCaprio for Black Panther movement.
Well, Doc, I can't take your throne. That's your mountain right there.
That's your toilet to sit on, sir.
That's my hill to die on. Damn it.
Yeah. Good luck with that. I do like Leo though.
Cal Mile said, if they don't recast him, they'll waste opportunities because I want to see a crossover with Panther beating the Fantastic Four to show his comic roots. That would be cool.
I do believe he will be recast. It's not going to obviously this movie is pretty much already in the can. It's not going to happen with this movie at all. I do, but
he's
I like about
dead in this movie. It's in the trailer.
It's in the trailer, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, like so many other characters have had multiple different people play the characters over the years to finally get T'Challa, and because of the passing.
Even Marodi, bring back Terrence Howard to play T'Challa, right?
Yes.
and then give him T'Challa.
And then we find out that it was actually T'Challa in disguise as the original Rhodey.
Fun stuff you do.
And that. Never mind. There's a really bad joke there.
You know what?
Robert Downey Jr. Here's a good.
Robert Downey Jr. didn't notice.
Hey, just put Leo in the role. Just don't let Doc do the last idea he just had. I've changed my mind.
See, I knew I could get you on board.
We shall see. I think people will definitely check it out, but it's going to be difficult. Obviously, you have the tragedy that happened, and you have the big mystery of who's the new Black Panther. I guess if it's not Michael B. Jordan, I'll be upset. It needs to be.
I agree.
Killed
Shuri.
Yeah, same.
Running a brave Shuri.
Yeah, it's gonna be Shuri, right? but yeah,
I would say that too, Shuri.
Oh, I've got $50 right now saying it's Shuri.
Yeah. I got 100 saying it's Shuri. But yeah, I wish it would be Michael B in this movie. But they're gonna recast him. They're gonna pull some, multiverse stuff, and they're gonna bring him back in the third one, and it will be recast. Mark my words. But it should have never gotten to this point for the second movie. Though.
Isn't the third one not even on the schedule through phase 6 at this point?
There's some empty slots available there.
I thought there was only 2 empty slots. I might be wrong. I don't entirely recall.
There's no more than 3 for sure. If they end up putting Black Panther in those spots, they would be smart, because to put it right before the King Dynasty and Secret Wars, is gonna give it a boost, 1, and then 2, it will boost it again for him to be recast, and everybody will come back, and instead of going to watch a funeral of a movie that's gonna be traumatic for most people and all that stuff, there'll be some joy, because it's like, okay, we got the new T'Challa and everything, and then the king will be restored. That's what Chadwick's brother believes that he said that he wanted, and who knows him? But I mean, I can't see Ryan Coogler and Kevin Feige knowing Chadwick Boseman better than his brother, who'd been with him for his whole entire life. So,
absolutely. Exploding Pretty says Claremont was going to have Kitty join the Black Hebrew Israelites.
Yeah, yeah.
Could you imagine?
Valid point.
Yeah.
Rome. I would pay triple.
And they're in New York. And they're in New York. On 42nd Street.
Yeah. Versus Louis Farrakhan.
You don't want to even be on that side of the street. The way it don't even make sense. It just it's like, oh my God.
She's from Chicago.
Yeah,
so the Black Hebrew Israelites out there too. I don't know.
She could be imported.
They're in Sacramento. Right? They're everywhere. Okay, they travel. All right.
Yeah. Oh man, them got like you just cross the street, bro.
Yeah. Hey, I lived with one for a little while. Like, my gosh, to see Kitty
their level was up. That level was a little extra during the morning? It's like, come on, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
like that stuff, man.
Hey, I couldn't cook bacon no more. I couldn't even go downstairs. I stopped eating breakfast. I was fasting for a while because I didn't even want to hear it. I didn't even want to deal with it.
Yeah, it's like, let me talk to you, brother. Like,
I gotta get to work. Yeah. Anybody who hasn't, go watch some Black Hebrew Israelite videos. That's all I gotta say.
Steve Kinkalo says, do you guys think the current outrage over dumb things is really something new, or just a continuation of the satanic panic of the 80s and 90s? Well, I think the outrage growing and snowballing is somewhat new because we're all connected.
Yeah.
Jerome remembers this. I think Jim's probably old enough to remember this. Back in the day, yeah, you had some world news come on in CNN, but your local news literally was local.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you went to the newspaper, it was almost 90% about what was happening within 50 miles of you. And that's kind of the stuff that you knew about. And yes, there was some outrage about local things. But now that we're all connected and really the news that you receive is world news, and there's like, you've lost perspective of what's happening near you. And now you have perspective on everything that's happening, I think is kind of.
And it's news by non-news people. It's just people commenting and stuff like that. I mean, the news that we had, even though it might have been crazy at points, it was edited. You ended up not having as it was. Now it's like you said, the world news. Now it's Bat Boy in the basement and stuff like that on everything. So yeah, now if the satanic panic can actually every day you have more and more of something like that, and yeah, I'm telling you, it's a little different, but it's the connection. It is the connection and getting news from everybody that isn't actually a news source as well.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone's turned into a tabloid, including myself.
Yeah, clicks.
Cal Lyle says, "I'm British, and some of us are sensitive, but not as sensitive as you Yanks."
Oh. Oh yeah! See what y'all started?
Hey, we started another Revolutionary War here.
Yeah.
Well, we won the first one.
Started.
British are pretty
Jim, your mother's British. Is she sensitive? Let's
yes.
roast her.
Yes, she is. She's sensitive. She has bad teeth. She can't cook, and you could go down
she
all
loves
the
spotted dick.
Yeah, she does. I heard that, and she did at least twice. I heard. Me and my brother can attest to that. But yeah, I mean, British are pretty sensitive. Everybody's sensitive now. I think that again, the connection with everything has turned everybody into British people. I guess because we're all sensitive.
Third wave British invasion.
Yes.
For supporting us in Australia, Cal Blau. Kenneth Dowling says, "Gotta have Michelle Yeoh as Lady Shiva on screen."
Oh man, she's so beautiful, man. This girl, Michelle Yeoh, is her old stuff. Yes, madam. It's like you can watch that forever. Wing Chun with her and Donnie Yen. Oh my God,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
This girl is incredible.
Kenneth also says, Wes, you and Aaron did a video about a writer who read one of Claremont's stories, took it out of context, and called him racist. That would be Leah Williams.
Yes.
The hashtag was Claremont X-Men Run is the best X-Men run. You are correct, sir. Thank you for spelling that out, because it was difficult to read all in one thing, but it's just one of those things people do for internet clout nowadays. Skip, you know what I'm saying, where they go and take something that occurred, in the late 70s or early 80s, take it out of context, and then try to vilify somebody so they can, I don't know, do the Gail Simone thing with the fridging.
Yeah, well, first of all, I speak no ill of my future baby mama, Leah Williams. So as far as I'm concerned, she is immaculate, perfect, and has never written a bad comic sentence, let alone a bad comic book, let alone a bad comic series in her entire life, first of all. Second of all, absolutely. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. It's just funny the extremes that these people go to, real quick to just either A, get some clout off of it, or B, prove that they're on the right side of whatever, social majority, or social moral line that there is. But at this point, it's kind of old hat. It's just, I guess, I think it's the degree that they go to that maybe continue to surprise us. But as we see it, I don't think very many of us are as surprised anymore, because I mean, they've been doing this at this point for the last 10 years, pretty hardcore for the last 7. It's unfortunate, man.
Everyone's clout chasing. That's just kind of one of the things that goes along with it. When you're one of the big guys on campus, like at Claremont, you're going to get that. But, Claremont did a lot of things, and I think his work really speaks for himself. I think that's why a lot of people kind of roll their eyes at this stuff. Kenneth also says, in response to Cal Miles' chat on Wakanda, last time I was on panel, Josh shared some info with me. For those wanting T'Challa back, you will be pleased. Man, why is Josh not sharing this stuff with me, Skip? That's a video. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Did you check your DMs?
Always check my DMs. I'm always waiting on Josh. He's got the best scoops. He just never shares with me. He's in the chats today. He knows how I feel.
Hey, shout out to my man Josh, man. That's my guy. I can't wait to be on a panel with him again soon.
Well, once he found out you were going to be here today, he said no. He's like, I want out. Like,
oh, right. What? Oh, what? What did I do, Josh? Baby, what did I do? I'll Josh, make it up to you.
Something came up. I think he had some work or something. I can't remember what it was, but he let me know a few days ago that he wasn't going to be able to make it. Obviously, normally he would be here. Missing Josh. You know what I'm saying? Josh, this is for you, buddy.
There you go. That's my guy. Don't work too hard, baby. Don't work too hard, Josh. This is
what we do in the Angel, where you make a little heart with your fingers.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Caleb says, I think this is more the gender panic era. General panic era. Everyone just gets up in a tizzy about everything. Do you have gender panic, Jim? You kind of seem like a gender panic kind of guy.
No. But my wife actually, out of all this, we talk about all the connectivity. My wife just found out the controversy of pronouns just this past week. I said, where the heck have you been? I mean, she ends up, we're taking the dog for a walk. She goes, have you heard this about these pronouns? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, really? You just heard of that? She's like, she just doesn't understand it. She's just like, I don't understand.
Finally hit her Facebook.
Yeah, really. I mean, she's old. I said, you got to get off the geo spaces or whatever the hell you're on and get on to something modern here. And yeah, she just heard that, which made me giggle. But yeah, gender panic. I guess you can panic if you're, running scared of what to say or do with people or whatnot. That's what it ends up seeming.
Nothing worse than trying to explain to someone a little bit older than you some of the stupid shit going on these days.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Let me try and break
Chris
this down
Claremont.
for you where you can understand it.
Yeah.
It's going to be rough. Comment says, responding to Steve's chat, remember Kyle's mom from South Park? Kyle playing in a Christmas play is offensive, and everyone sees everything is offensive.
Just remember that first season of South Park, that Christmas special they put on. Everyone gets so offended with it. It turns out to be this weird like play where everyone's wearing black. I look at the sun. It burns my eyes. Just this weird, just whatever the hell it is. I'm like, what the hell? Everyone's like, what happened? You all did this.
And it's shocking South Park is still on. I mean, I
still
saw that
right?
movie in like 2001, right?
Yep, and still relevant today.
Yeah.
Those guys are pretty darn good satirists. I'm just surprised it made it this far. But yeah, South Park, you don't want to get burned by those guys because they will roast you alive.
Yeah, they've gone after everyone from Whole Foods to Manbla.
Yeah.
Mr. DC Comics, if DC hires Berlanti as their Kevin Feige over the DCEU, it's going to be biggest disappointment ever. The guy was horrible with the Arrowverse. I agree. I don't think that he should be handling anything nearly that big.
No.
As a DC guy, Jim, are you on the Berlanti train?
No, I think that's too big. You just said it. It's too big a thing for him to handle and actually deal with that. I think that they should go other routes, whatever they may
He's
be.
too in the CW culture where it's all
Yeah.
about stupid high school romancy shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think even if he wasn't, that's the perception. And you're going to end up having that negative kind of, perception right away. And you don't need that. You need kind of something new. You need something bigger and newer.
Absolutely. Ideator says Skip will always pan down. People love it when I do a Leah Williams video because I always put a picture of her and I pan down. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah, you already know.
Is that when you fell in love, Skip?
I think so. I think it was a video that he had put up. I immediately hit him. I immediately DM. If you don't stop this, I'm at school. I'm at school, and I'm in the Catholic school, and I'm watching a video, and some kids walk past, and here she goes. She's like, it's like, yes, you need me, Wes. If you don't stop this, come on.
Hey, that wasn't the intent, but I think it's pretty funny.
Yes.
I'll take the outcome. Let's consider that a win. Everyone likes to pan down.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, hey, Wes, what color are her eyes?
Beats me. Probably blue.
Okay, that's what I thought.
They're big.
Yeah.
Very good. Let's get on to some more comic book topics. Thank you so much to everyone for supporting the channel. We really appreciate it. We did get the July comic book sales data. Jim, obviously, you are the Weird Science DC Marvel manga guy. Yeah. Over 50% of all DC comics were outside of the top 100. I've never seen that. Were you shocked?
Yeah. Well, I'm not shocked because of what's going on and everything with the deal. DC's got a problem right now. They're in trouble. A lot of people, even when we've talked on the channel here about saying, oh, my God, they're desperate. Oh, my God. Well, they are. They should be. The sales numbers, or at least the rankings, are horrific. And then I even saw some people in the chats talking about the idea that there's too much Batman. And that's always going to be true. But that's what sells. And they're so desperate. You got to go with what sells. And it just makes everything more top heavy than it's even been before. But yeah, it's not good right now. It really looks really, really bad. And I don't mind if they would just admit that. And they kind of did, even with that Dark Crisis, turning it to On Infinite Earths. It's kind of silly, but they better admit that they're having problems, because that's when you start changing what is wrong. And what is wrong is they don't have a lot of good stories going on right now. And you have some of your major characters like Superman with Action Comics, and even the Wonder Woman whole family are just a wreck. I mean, it's pitiful, and it's sad how bad those books have fallen in sales. And I'll tell you, Action Comics, I actually think is really good. But then you have to look at it. Is it a marketing problem? Are they not pushing the right books? Because while they do have a ton of Batman stuff, that's all they push as well. People know Batman. We get that. Push your other books. And the only thing, and I know that it could be considered a Batman family type deal, but you do end up having Poison Ivy doing well and actually getting an extension. Not that I love the book, but at least there's something out there that people are excited about. But I don't feel that people are excited about DC Comics right now at all. It ends up, it's kind of a sad time at this point where you're trying to get people, hyped up for something that isn't really hypeable at points.
The talent pool too. The talent pool is very, 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 very bad. Like, the people they prop up. To go back to your Wonder Woman, there's a guy, and also in the feed, Trey. Me and him had a long discussion about Wonder Woman. It's just so unfortunate that no one can grasp this character and do so much with her. She is I know a lot of people might disagree, but the Captain Marvel character, even Miss Marvel to a degree, these are incredible characters. If the right writer would come down there and apply a certain amount of pressure to them, they could be marvelous characters for women in general, because they have so much soil that's uncharted. They got too much uncharted ground, especially a character like Wonder Woman. They haven't been able to tap into her really well, because you know what? The people that are there are going there with certain agendas. You got to take that out the picture. You got to say to yourself, you know what? I got to read her history. I got to find out what holes I can use to exploit to uplift her, to make her a lot more better. They don't apply it they don't walk with it. They don't go inside of these books with that type of feeling anymore. We was talking about Tim Sheridan a few weeks back, and Tim Sheridan was playing a game, and I saw it when I was in the mountains, and I'm like, you know what, this is a good tweet, but I think Doc went in there, a couple of other people went in there, and they started saying some stuff to him, and they was trying to shake him up a little bit, because even Marv Wolfman kind of said something Tim should have took notice of. And it was like, look, I was telling Trey this as well. You can't do the tight ends away from Marv Wolfman and George Perez. It is impossible. It is it's almost a curse and a gift at the same time. You can't do it. You got to refer to it. The Titans Academy try to run entirely away from everything.
Yeah, it was built. And it became a mess.
Yes.
And I even said, when Tim Sheridan said that deal about nobody takes new characters or whatnot, well, you have to present them and give us new characters and develop them, not just throw them as a, pretty much, there just to be there. Absolutely. And then have Red X be the dominant deal in that. You got your focus way off.
And remember, Marv said something real slick. He said something that he should have just took a lot more into consideration. He said, every new character I make, I'll work on an older one. I'll improve on it. And Tim Fluke kept going straight on about my characters. No one acknowledged it. He didn't notice that. And that was like, that was an elder moment. That was a teachable moment. That was his woodshed moment right there. He should have talked more to Marv into depth about that. And I just didn't understand that. These guys, these certain props, these tiers of writers that are out right now, they don't go backwards. They don't look at Denny O'Neil stuff. They don't look at Lin Wynn stuff. They don't look at Marv Wolfman stuff. Read their articles. Absorb the data that they were laying down. Yeah. You got to read something from Roy Thomas. Get something from Carrie Bates. You got to get into the Bob Haney stuff. Someone said, "Oh, we should bring Brave and the Bold back." But if you do it, how do you do it with these? How do you do it with these guys? How do you pay homage to it? That what made it so popular before. Remember Bob Haney? They didn't like how he did a lot of those stories because he didn't explain things. Like if he teamed up with Wildcat was just on Earth One, and he didn't explain why. But you didn't need to, because the stories. It was supposed to be
think that there's not really great storytelling right now with any of these writers. And like you said, when they go back, they just cherry pick a character just to throw in, never really knowing what that character is. You have that in Wonder Woman a lot. Wonder Woman right now with Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad, they just grab random characters from the past trying to get cred by doing that without doing anything with it. And it doesn't give you any cred. And one of the problems I think, and I see people in the chats and with DC in general, with the sales and even people not buying, the problem is that most of the things that I hear, editorials coming up with the stories and then getting the writers to write them. These writers don't really care about them then. And DC isn't taking pitches for things. They're assigning books, and you're not getting any passion of this. And I think that's the big thing when you look at these sales. The things that do end up selling, they're Batman, they're also some of the better quality stuff because DC puts their better people on the Batman, but it seems like they're into it. Some of these other writers are just there to, up their, brand, and they end up not really caring. And I feel that way
too. Yeah. They're coming in there with an agenda ahead of time. Like, you know what? I want to be this big superstar. They get the Squidward treatment. They get the Squidward. Remember when
it shows, and like I said, like there's some good books, and DC is selling some things, but when you look at the things that are really good and selling, it's the stuff that seems to be a passion type deal, or like a Mark Waid. Mark Waid just comes in and says, "I'm just going to tell a good damn story that kind of is in continuity, come from, but it feels good. It feels right." And these other books feel like you can see them trying to do something different than that. And I don't know why they just don't. Back in the day, I say back in the day, but when you had that Burnside Batgirl, you ended up having all of a sudden that was a big hit. And then everybody tried to get that. So they ended up saying no more Burnsiding any of the characters. Now they should say, hey, everybody, Mark Waid the shit out of all of your books right now. Or even with the things, we have problems with Tom Taylor, but people are liking that Nightwing. There's not much of a story going on overall, but people seem to take to the fan service because it almost feels, hey, Tom Taylor's writing a nice Nightwing. I don't like it. Nightwing's my favorite character. I get bored with it, but people are liking it because it's a fun, nice type thing. And I don't get why DC isn't saying, and why they're not saying everything, especially with this World's Finest, is listen, this book is now the blueprint for all the rest of your books. Make everything fun. Make it each month when people get a book, they have fun with this one comic, and boom, they'll get the next one. And all these comics, including some good ones, like Flash has gone up in sales a little because of the Dark Crisis tie-in, but that's a good book. That deserves it.
It should be, it
but
should be.
Some of these other books, and Wes kind of alluded to it earlier, something like Anubia, it ends up being a shame because there are fans of a character. They're just throwing things out. And then I'm afraid DC is just going to look at this and say, well, every character stinks but Batman, because they're not looking at what is not selling and why. And it is the storytelling and just the nonsense. And they double up on stuff. That Wonder Woman family of books is a wreck.
It's a wreck.
And the sales show it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I had a video on it just this week, and it's just amazing. They should have Robert Venditti over there.
They could get a bunch of people.
Remember when he did Green Lantern? He destroyed that. That was the Green Lantern Corps. He knocked that out the park.
He did that, and Van Jensen with him. It was good.
Did the Freedom Fighters? Oh my God. No one talks about the Freedom Fighters.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yes, it was very good.
One of the best minis that they've had in a long time. I ended up where I had somebody talking to me, a writer who was on a mini series recently, said that he pitched a Wonder Woman book, and they said, this is an awesome pitch, but you can't write Wonder Woman because it was a guy. And they said you can't. So and so he just threw up his hands. And then he even said, listen, you can maybe use my, like, he was being real nice about it. And they're like,
can he do Tom Hanks and Wilson Buddies or something, put a wig on and just
we can do that.
Get some melons.
The British like doing that.
It works. It works these days. I mean,
I don't get it. Like I said, I think that most of the books and a lot of the problems are editorials more writing the storylines. Even Teenie Howard, or not Teenie Howard, what's her name that was on Detective Comics? No,
Mariko
Tamaki. If you look back and look at the interview she did for that Tower story, everything she was asked, she kept saying, well, my editors said that. Oh, my editors came up with that. You're on Detective Comics. You have to come up with your own stories. You have to be something that you are the storyteller, not just this caretaker with a name that's going to throw it out there.
They're not even a caretaker.
Yeah, I know.
They're a scripter.
That's what it is. Yeah. They are. And that's what DC is, and it's come to the roost.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it.
These sales aren't just overnight. These are bad decisions on top of really bad creative teams. And not good stories and bad marketing on what is good. So it's not a shock.
You know what's crazy, Drew, is I've heard from some retailers, and they say at this point they only buy a couple shelf copies of Action, like Detectives, and some of the other books that you would expect to be kind of big, like Wonder Woman, and sometimes those don't even sell.
That's it, 100% true. That's what we're doing at our store. I found out from Ernie, who runs a brick and mortar store. No matter how good the book may be, we may say it is, Ernie's only ordering one, if maybe two copies of it. The only one he's ordering 10, 20, 30, 40 copies of is going to be Batman. Because that's the one that sells. It's unfortunate. It's sad. I hate it because, I mean, there's been some legit great, you mentioned them, Jim. Like, I like Poison Ivy. I think it's been a solid series so far. Action Comics, Aquaman Andromeda. I like Swamp Thing, even though Gabe doesn't.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan either, but I see why it's popular. You know what I mean? It's a quality book.
Yeah, his writing. And the quality. Yeah, but his writing. There's something there. There's like,
and Mike Perkins' art too. You can't forget that.
Yeah, that's still good.
But like Wes said, we're only ordering 1, maybe 2 copies because people just. I don't want to generalize. People just don't trust or don't like DC.
Yeah, but they'll buy Batman because it's Batman.
Yeah,
and the others, and there are. I'm actually saying, it's getting the stories. There are better books coming out now. There are these, like you said, Andromeda and things like that. There are some things. Poison Ivy's new, and they're getting better. It's just that nobody's catching up with that idea because you're right. They don't trust DC. They don't trust them, or they think that fans to me feel like DC is like punching them in the face all the time. They just don't. It's not even not trust. It's like they hate me. DC hates me. It's getting really bad.
It's how most of us felt reading Nick Spencer's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
We just kept waiting for him to pull the rug out from under us because it's the only trick he had demonstrated that he had in his toolbox. And right now, DC's in the same position. They will set you up by giving you some fan service just to fuck you later.
Yeah.
And the DC readers are expecting it. So you're going to keep getting people afraid of dealing with DC until they've changed their the public's perception of them.
Doc, you just said like one thing that DC should do is like when they announced the Rebirth Initiative, they had a big press conference. The Jeff Johns, Dan DiDio, they had all the creative teams out there on stage. They came out and said, "Hey, this is reaffirming our belief in you guys. We want you guys to come with us. We're setting the price at $2.99. These are the great creative teams we're bringing on board. This is how much we trust them. This is how much we want you to come back to our books. They're showing off art. They have to do something like that. They have to show." Like we love our customers. We trust in you guys. Come back. We have these great teams. You should be excited because we are too. But they're not doing that.
Yeah, Rebirth was an apology, and they ended up saying we lost our way. They could do. I've been saying all along, without anybody, I don't really know who would come out on stage now and give that announcement. You know, DiDio used to be the guy. They ended up firing him, but they don't have anybody to come out and DiDio was great as well at a point where all your anger was at DiDio. So you didn't get mad at creative teams. It was always because everybody blamed DiDio with anything that happened. So it was like, oh my God, this guy, Wally West ended up being a murderer. That must have been DiDio. And he was that buffer. And they don't have that now. And everybody it's DC. I hate DC. I hate DC. And it's
firing him a mistake?
I don't. Well, it is since they ended up doing all of his ideas.
It's not. Firing him was not a mistake.
No, it wasn't.
Hiring Daniel Cherry to replace him was a mistake.
Yeah.
That was the guy that went to work with Kanye West, right?
I don't know where the fuck he went.
Yeah, he did go with Kanye.
Once again,
he's a bit flaky, that guy. He likes to go wherever.
Well, first of all, hiring serial job hoppers is always a recipe for that exact thing. But second, when they made their bones and they claim to be all great at marketing and advertising, and they have all these big, clients that have worked with them in the past, and they're coming to comics, it means that they sucked at what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, comics is a small industry.
They fired Dan DiDio and used all his ideas anyway.
I know.
So, it's ridiculous.
That's why I was wondering, like, was he? They were almost better when he was there. In a weird way. It's like picking on the looking at the faults that he might have had, his shortcomings, but they were almost better there because it's just like you said, he can take the hit. Where meanwhile, we're starting to see that Cherry and Jim Lee is not the ideal guys that should be there.
I think it just proves that Paul Levitz was actually the big
I missed the guy.
Like the creative engine behind
the whole
because
DC.
once Paul was gone, and Jim kind of took over being that number, number one, slightly number two guy, and Dan was the only one left. Dan was the carnival barker, and Paul was the story guy. Except for with Wildstorm. Fuck Paul Levitz when it comes to Wildstorm.
Drew's right though. They need to do something to get, just a statement or something that makes people think, okay, they're learning their lesson. Maybe they think that that's not the case, because whoever learns their lesson, but the idea of at least saying it, because when Rebirth hit, I mean, it was big. And even if it was just everybody felt good about DC, you had a good feeling about them, and then they pissed that away eventually. But it's just gone down. It's a snowball going down the hill now, and it just keeps gaining and gaining, and the gaining is hate and just nonsense. And they seem to be doubling back on it, like, well, we'll show you that we're right. Well, you're not. The sales show that.
If DC manages to recover,
it's a big if.
It is. It's a big if. But if they go to recover, I feel like this is going to be viewed as even worse than the DC implosion. The what was that, 78, 79? The DC implosion of the 70s. It's going to be viewed, this is even worse. And they thought that was as bad as it could get. This is whatever the end of this era is, if they're able to recover after it, if there is a post, a 1980s, then this will be viewed as even worse than the implosion.
So we do have a lot of the viewers chiming in on Super Chat, so let's get through those. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, everyone. Cal Mile wants to know, what's your opinion on the Ironheart casting? I don't think kids should watch Disney anymore. And I know who that Aussie Trans is. He's a very boring SJW. Well, we are going to talk about that in a little bit more in depth. But I don't know. Disney's something you got to keep an eye on. You definitely have to know what your kids are watching.
It's no longer
stuff anymore.
Yeah, it's not just family entertainment.
I took it that's what kids are into now. That's what I understood.
That's what Disney wants kids to be into. We're not sure if that's all that they want them to be into. It could be a little questionable.
Then he says there's too much VIL and Jeff Thorpe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Too much of a lot of writers. Yeah. But those are two that are pretty.
They're just kind of recycling the same failed writers over and over and over again right now.
I know Perch is friends with Jeff, but he fucking sucks. He's a bad writer.
Jeff, that Green Lantern. Oh man.
They just announced a one-shot, a continuation of that series.
What? Oh yeah, no. I think Wes did a cover on that last night, right?
He graduated. He graduated. He's already proven that he can do ongoing comics, because he did one that got canceled, and then he could do mini series, because he did one of those and it got canceled. So now he needs to prove he can do a one shot. His graduation from comics will no longer be working in
weird
comics.
Deal. That one shot, if you read the solicit, it's the solicit for just the actual series that nobody just read. It's very odd. I think that,
I thought I read this already.
Exactly. I've talked to Jeff. He's a very nice guy. He ends up, if you ask him a question, he doesn't cut corners. He'll tell me and stuff like that. And the one thing that people had heard, and it's true, he was not told that Jon Stewart was going to be killed. He is writing a book with Jon Stewart. Nobody told him, hey, Joshua Williamson forgot to tell him. And so I think that that's all this is that, oh, you didn't get to finish your story because we didn't tell you ahead of time. Finish this up. It's supposed to, but why? Nobody liked that book. Everybody wants that to just be erased and forgotten. I say forgotten. Who read it? I mean, how can you forget? It's like a tree falling in the woods. That book, it just was kind of bad and leads to nonsense. But
in the heat of the night was great, though.
Yeah,
that's all I gotta say. Great show, Jeff Thorne. Appreciate it.
Exactly.
Kenneth is speaking to Skip. He says, "You are my brother, and I say this because I care about you. Leah Williams, she is not the one for you. That's any woman who disses Claremont. Kenneth wants more for you and your future, sir."
Yo,
cares about you, bro.
He's looking out for you.
Hey, KD is my brother. I appreciate you, brother. Hey, I didn't say she was gonna be my future wife. I said future baby mama. Winter is coming, man. You know, you don't want to be cold and lonely when winter hits. So Leah, you know what I'm saying? You got my Instagram. Hit me up. We can write comics together and so much more.
There are
he's shooting his shot. Okay.
Yeah, I shot my shot. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Michael Jordan said you miss 100% of the shots you never take. Okay.
There is exactly one photo of Leah Williams that looks flattering. I'll put it that way.
Well, different strokes for different folks, Doc. My goodness.
Oh, no,
Blade Craver. What?
Nope. Go ahead. We're done.
Why is DC trying to kill Tinny with or Punchline with the Titty comic? I don't get it. Punchline had a lot of momentum at one time, Drew. It felt like that was going to be like the breakout character from James Tynion's Batman run, but she became the backup story in that Joker series. The story was absolutely terrible, and now it's going to get worse because you're having Tinny Howard do the character with her husband.
And unfortunately, I mean, they did have an opportunity, but she's more or less turned into just another redundant character. James Tynion did a great job of creating redundant characters that really have ultimately amounted to nothing. And this is one of them. And this character did have a lot of opportunity and hope, but nope, they ended up doing nothing with her.
They tinnied the damn comic book. Common Sense says, did you read DC Mech? What are your thoughts? I like the Justice Society was preparing. Kitty made Kal-El never grow up on Earth. Disappointed Wally's mecha is not motion capture. You can put it on a treadmill. I didn't read the DC Mech. I didn't read the Marvel Mech series that they're doing either. Did anyone read it? I assume that you did.
DC Mech is okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it didn't deserve to be the number 190 spot for issue number 1.
No, and the Marvel stuff, especially that Jim Zub first one, that was complete and utter garbage. That was terrible. That book stunk. But
there was a much better Marvel Mech book back in like 2002 during the Marvel Mangaverse. Was it? I think it was the Avengers that had giant mechs.
Yeah,
I just need them all to combine Voltron-esque and
it was like Voltron. It was fucking like Voltron.
That's all I want from these things. And now these new ones don't seem to want to have fun with it at points. But this DC one is a little more fun. It's there for people who might want that. It's nothing important, but it's nice to have that sort of book out there. It's just what it is. It's kind of a goofy thing. I tried to get my youngest son to read it, and he's like, "What is this nonsense?" And plus, he's like, "What are these words?" And then threw the thing down. But it's okay. It's actually okay.
Did you read it, Drew?
Yeah, I read it. I didn't care for it. It's arguably probably the worst of the Mechs comics I've read. All the heroes. It's much like Jurassic League, except all the heroes have mech suits.
Mechs.
So
that gives them their powers instead of being superheroes.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's the thing. Obviously, they're trying to tap into like some manga, anime type stuff.
Yeah. Somebody in Killmonger I think Killmonger in the chat just said Tinny is the female Judd Winnick. I disagree. Judd Winnick
Judd Winnick read Under the Red Hood.
Judd Winnick wrote Under the Red Hood. He wrote The Exiles, like the first 30 issues of Exiles, and then he also wrote that Teen Titans, the era with the Michael Turner covers.
Yes.
In the early 2000s.
Okay. Yeah.
So I have now Judd Winnick today is complete shit. But
what
Judd
is he doing?
Winnick of the
Doing
2000s, he did something about a year and a half ago that I recall reading, and it was just trash.
Didn't Judd used to do the Newman? That's where he started at, right? Then he started in Extreme.
I think he did because he was the first thing he ever did was that one with after he was on The Real World. Because remember, Judd Winnick was on The Real World.
Yeah.
And his best friend was the Pedro guy, the one that died.
Yeah. That's where he's from. That's where he's from. Yeah. I thought he was on an Extreme book. I'm trying to.
I think he was.
Yeah.
He did do something over there. But
But what killed it for him was that Catwoman issue from New 52 where he had Batman and Catwoman banging on the rooftop.
Yeah.
That's what kind of
that was what it was that I read. Wait, or am I thinking of the one? Was that the Judd Winnick one? Or am I confusing that with the one with the Batman eats pussy one?
That's it, Doc. Thank you.
Right.
Zaslav seems to really cut everything that doesn't make money. My guess is they will cut that down the line to A-list characters, team books only, or even go exclusively the graphic novel paperback route. Jib, you are a DC guy. Is that the feeling you're getting with the future of DC Comics now that Zaslav and Warner Brothers Discovery are fully in charge?
Yeah, I've actually even heard this rumor before. When they ended up having that Urban Legends book, the idea would be that they just have a couple anthology books each month, get your Batman stuff, keep some characters in there, and it may just end up being that way, and then maybe build from that up again. I don't know, but the idea that DC has had these little tiny, we'll try to fix this in a little way. We'll have Superman Reborn. We won't make it make sense, but we'll have this. And I think they need to pretty much start from ground zero, go and build up, because it's a wreck. It's a complete wreck. And I see them cutting down and having just, their main core books, maybe a couple anthologies for a bit, and then building up from that. And maybe you can build back some, people liking you and some goodwill. I don't know, but seems it. I mean, you look at the sales.
I think the budget is going to get cut significantly.
Yeah.
And even if they are doing these A-list creators, it's not going to be good writers on them. It's going to be the cheapest writers they can find, like your Tim Sheridans, your Megan Fitzmartins writing your damn.
And then what you have again is still the continuation of having them be scripters, like Doc said, and have 3 editors that are coming up with all the stories, and that hasn't been working. Yeah. And it might be one of those of let's just let it burn down so we can justify doing something crazy, or selling off the characters or things like that everybody has their own opinion of what might happen, but it's bad. I mean, you can't be somebody who's getting a company and looking at the stats here and saying, oh yeah, this is really a healthy deal here. They're going to say comics are nonsense. We just have to keep the characters, so let's just throw out anything, and anthology books, graphic novels, that sort of thing. Probably a lot of young adult stuff. Because that does sell.
Bleak.
Yeah, it's very bleak. And it's sad, because DC is my favorite thing pretty much of anything. And I just sit here and just say this, it kills me, because it is one of the things that I do every single day. And it's sad.
When you grew up, you were exposed to DC vastly more quicker, or much more than the Marvel books did?
Yeah. And I mean, some of the things were the repeats of Batman 66, the Super Friend cartoon. I just love the DC characters. Yeah. And I do a lot of Marvel stuff, but my real big thing is DC. So it ends up like you're there and you love somebody, and it's such an abusive relationship of DC just not being there for you over and over. But I still stand by them, but it's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, they do make it very difficult. Common sense kind of taps into something here, Jim, that makes it difficult. If Red X wasn't part of Sheridan's pitch, then why did he add a third Red X that never actually showed up? He could have made Brick the third Red X and not the fourth Red X. How many goddamn Red X's were
I know.
there?
He did tell me specifically, because when he ended up having all those tweets that Jerome was talking about, I ended up kind of ripping into him, and I don't know, he followed me then. And he ends up having, and I don't know if you look at Tim Sheridan's deal, he has a real wacky thing where he only follows 500 people. You have to amuse him to be followed, which I think is the most pretentious thing I've ever heard.
So Doc, you know why you got kicked out the circle.
Yeah, so he ended up talking to me, and he did say that the Red X part was nothing of his, and he ended up saying that the Future State stuff and the Teen Titans Academy was just an awful experience where he was told everything to do, but now he's doing the Flashpoint Beyond, and he said it's like night and day, and that is a better thing than anything in that Teen Titans Academy. That was a wreck. It seemed like it was 7 different people trying to get 7 different ideas on there, but as I said to him, and your name's on the cover, you better do something about this. You were hired to make it, and it was a wreck, and this the Red X stuff just became a joke. Yeah, like you said, how many were there? It's like Red Triple X by now.
Nightwing's just letting the guy murder a teenager right in front of him, does nothing about it. You're like,
the whole Teen Titans, who's sending their kids to this school that keeps getting blown up and attacked by Deathstroke? Please, it's the reason
why. It's the reason why I hated Morrison's X-Men.
Yeah,
who the hell sends their kid to a school that's been blown up twice already?
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
You gotta make it make sense.
Calvin Lyle says, I came up with my own long roadmap of the death of Wonder Woman. But I let Joe write Diana. I would do Nubia, but I want it done by people who care. Well, Joe is a good choice. That man loves him some Wonder Woman. I think he's probably read almost everything Wonder Woman related. Mm-hmm. But she's already died literally within the last 12 months twice. So I don't think you'll be able to kill her very often in the near future.
Just shows that death doesn't matter.
I'm sorry about the cough. I'm still getting over this sickness. I apologize. Cal Biles, is everything Jim Lee's fault? Also, Vita and King. Yes, everything is Jim Lee's fault.
At this point, we disagree.
I mean, no.
He's the face of the company. He's the only executive that anyone knows his name, so kind of falls on him.
I respect Jim Lee, but he's just going out on Instagram, posting photos, going to horse festivals, and going
everything burns down, right? He's just
he's clocked out.
He's Nero.
He is Nero. He is. He's fiddling away.
He's drawing away.
Durbin from Sigma Comics says, shout outs from Boston Fan Expo. Keep it tuned to Thinking Critical and support these great comic book experts. Gabe will be reviewing Here Comes Calico soon, so stay tuned. Obviously, that'll be in Comical Opinions. Love me some Gabe Hernandez.
Yeah,
and I hope
when he's doing Predator.
Don't even get me started on that one. If you're in the Boston area, definitely go to the Boston Fan Expo and see if you can find the Sigma booth and talk to HH. I believe our good friend Eric O'Sullivan is at the Boston Fan Expo now. That's why he's not watching the channel.
Yes,
he's got his Captain America gear on.
Yeah, fucking cosplayers. Stop taking up space.
Yes.
You block people's booths. Don't let people take photos of you in front of other people's booths. It's fucking rude.
If you see me rushing through people, it's because of the cosplayers. If you see me bum rushing them, that's why. It's like, get out of the way. I'm working.
Yep.
My goodness. Everyone hates cosplayers. Mr. DC Comics. DC characters represent paragons of virtue. And today you have people that are anti-virtue running DC into the ground. They need people in DC like Jeff Johns who embrace DC for DC, not to change them to Marvel. That was kind of one of the issues, Skip, with Dan Didio. Is you could tell he made his way in through Marvel, and he appreciated kind of the Marvel characters and stuff like that, and the way they ran their universe more than he did DC, maybe. New Age of Heroes, all of his ideas, all Marvel characters being introduced in the DC.
Yeah, that's true. Silencer and Sideways and all of that stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's an appreciation there. I think Didio was just very extremely rigid on some things that were like more personal than they were related to the business, and I think that's what that was my axe to grind with him. But I mean, I don't want to. Yeah, his appreciation for a certain period of comics and a pure version of comics and characters that were definitely not being used right at that time over at Marvel was apparent. So, I mean, that's the tough thing about Didio. I think that's why it's polarizing. It's not like he was, an utter, trash, publisher. It's just that. So like he was just so hyper focused on this his specific idealized version of what comics is supposed to be. He wasn't, or what these characters are supposed to be. He wasn't open enough to other things. And I don't want to say he wasn't a good collaborator, because some people said that he was, but just overall his own like fixation is kind of what I felt like did him in the end.
Well, it turns out.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Last year at MegaCon, before I met Dan, I had an idea in my mind who he was, but then I got to talk to him for like an hour about everything. We talked about the Batman run, because Sean, who runs Comics Elite, he loves the Tom King Batman run, and Dan was just like, I hated it. I hated the run. I absolutely hated it. I didn't want him to do it. And Sean,
just like him.
Sean's face just goes white. And I'm like, oh my God, I love Dan. This is great. I want to know more about behind this.
I always felt like, especially during after Joe left Marvel, as the EIC, I always felt that Axel was much more fitted for DC and Dan was always much more fitted for Marvel. They should have just swapped,
Should have traded, huh?
Yeah, trade your EICs. Because
look, you Dan Didio and a writer to be named later, straight up.
A bag of balls.
Because look, Axel loved the whole legacy thing and establishing legacy characters and creating legacy for these characters and mantle swaps and shit like that. It was all par for the course at DC. Didn't make a fuck bit of sense at Marvel. And Dan hated legacy characters and wanted to just keep the originals, and in the event that they did create new characters, not just some other version of the exact same character again. And that is much more the Marvel way. They were at the wrong companies. Sorry.
We've got a Fatal Diva sighting. We got Fatal J in the house.
Yeah.
Giving shout outs to Skip and Jerome.
Yeah.
Skip, do you think he's going to give you a shout out after he finds out about what you've been saying about Leah Williams? Wolfstein 3D. Skip, I can fix it.
Yeah.
Hey, I ain't trying to fix nobody. I'm just saying, she can sit next to me and we can talk all about how Exterminators is about to be a great comic. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
You know what, man? We need to buy you a hooker or something.
Okay, Doc.
To change his mind.
Like seriously, man.
Show him there's options. Show him there's other options out there. They have valuable options.
You're starting to sound desperate. Nobody was ever, unless you need to really get a little bit of pink if you're
okay, Doc.
Wow.
If you're gonna make shit up to impress
Doc, I'm just looking for a good wholesome girl, okay? Just a good wholesome girl. Leah Williams, I can take her home to mama, you know what I mean? She's a good wholesome girl, Doc.
She's not that.
All right, Doc. We had enough out of you. You're on timeout for 5 minutes. Common Sense says, would you read Cy Spurrier's Green Lantern Light at the End of Forever rather than Thorne's Green Lantern sequel? Still think Cy would do worse. I thought the Cy Spurrier pitch was fine for that fan vote thing. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it sounded okay, Jim.
Yeah, it sounded okay.
Better than Thorne's.
I'm not a big Cy Spurrier fan, though. That would have gotten so pretentious and overwritten in my mind. That's what I think he is. And but the pitch was good. I actually liked most of the pitches that they had. In general, they seemed okay. It's just that something goes on at DC between that and actually writing the comics that usually goes wrong anyway. But yeah, I'd probably actually, all in all, I think I might like
both of the
Cy
Green
better.
Lantern pitches for that thing.
Yeah, I do too.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, here's my pitch for the Green Lantern stuff. You have the Green Lantern Corps, and they do things. There you go. Everybody has a ring that works, and they do things together as, brothers in arms, cops in space, and have fun adventures. That's all you need to do.
Whoa. Cops are bad, Jim. You can't be doing that.
I said, people in people in space. Yeah, that is true.
There we go.
Oh, my. But yeah, it's easy.
Says Batman plus Terminator equals failsafe. Really enjoy that character. What do you think, Drew? You read Batman 126. Are you over the moon on failsafe?
I wouldn't say I'm over the moon, but I'm enjoying it. I would say it's been really good. It's really exciting. This last issue was really damn good. I was surprised by how much fun I had with it. And like that last page reveal, what Batman's got to do, from that case, I'm like, that I didn't see that coming. Holy crap! So.
Yeah, I don't know if Drew agrees with me. I think people are like kind of sleeping on the backup too. The Catwoman backup, I think it's a lot of fun. I actually like that even more than what we're getting in the regular Catwoman book by Tini Howard. So, I like that as well.
Yeah, I will say it is better than the current Catwoman run from Tini Howard. I've already read the stuff for next week, and yeah, it's much better than that.
Yes, so have I. Wink, wink. Yeah, it is.
Blade says, what do you think about Batman 2 not being greenlit? It made money, but not Captain Marvel $1 bill money. Do you think they may just go fresh? I don't know what level of production. They might not even have a script yet. I imagine Reeves has other things, and Matt Reeves has other things he's working on. He might be doing more Planet of the Apes stuff. You can't greenlight something that's not ready to go into production. So I imagine when he wants to make his Batman sequel, that he will get to make his Batman sequel because people, relatively speaking, enjoyed it. And it did make money, even on a $250 million budget.
But yeah, it's like you said, it didn't make that it didn't hit the $1 billion mark. I mean, I think BVS made more money than Batman did. But I think people are just shocked and surprised they didn't get that immediate announcement of a Batman 2. It's like,
it all depends. Yeah. But as far as should they start fresh, I don't think having a Batman separate from the rest of your shared comic book universe makes any sense.
Nope.
No.
I don't think having a Joker that's separate from your Batman movie makes any sense.
If I'm DC, I very seriously consider trying to figure out a way to morph to connect your Joker and your Batman movie. You can probably do it.
Well,
it's the reason why
we do it, but I think the next Joker is going to be a musical.
I know, and that's fucking retarded.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I think Zaslav is in the middle of kind of trying to fix all that stuff. But that Joker movie did make $1 billion, so yes, it's going to get a sequel. Considering it only made only took $80 million to make, so it made a lot of money compared to the Batman. Cal Miles says
Batman was boring.
Okay, they won't let me write newbie because I'm white guy, and I'll get backlash like she's too sexy, and why is she straight and she's too heroic? Can you have a newbie that's too sexy, Skip?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. It's so odd because I mean, thinking back to right now, it's pretty rare that I even.
I don't think you can make her straight though. There's no way they're going to do that.
Oh, you mean like what will be allowed at DC? No, that won't be allowed. Yeah, she could be sexier, but man, they're not gonna let her be too sexy. Who's writing her right now? Is it Vita and Danny Laura and all that?
Stephanie Williams.
Stephanie Williams.
Oh, Stephanie Williams. Oh, okay.
Or
is she related to Leah Williams at all by chance?
No.
I might buy her book. Oh, okay.
No, she's just the third clone.
Oh, okay.
She's one of Vita Ayala's proteges.
Yeah.
Oh,
she has a protege, right?
Yeah, that's scary.
Got a couple proteges. You got Danny Laura, you got Stephanie Williams. I'm sure there's a couple others out there. Just kind of helped out get into the comic book industry.
It's very easy to be a mentor to people that are equally talented with no talent. When you have no talent, you can. It's very quick to teach all of your pupils all the things you know when you know nothing.
Okay. Kenneth Allen says, Wes, you and Dylan did a video on how to fix Deathstroke. The way Failsafe was tearing through Batman and the Bat family. That is what Deathstroke should be. A force no human fighter can be. He's got a point there, Drew. Deathstroke, the Terminator, when he used to show up back in the day, he was a force of nature. You knew something bad was going to happen, and you hoped the hero lived. And they've basically jobbed him out to so many like B and C and D list heroes these days. He's kind of a joke now.
Yeah, like you said, back when he was still Deathstroke, the Terminator. Yeah, they got rid of the Terminator, subtitle from his name. They need to bring that back, but that's just my opinion. But that fight with Nightwing, that should have been several more pages. That should have been half the damn comic. Those two beating the shit out of each other.
Final Crisis 2?
Yes.
That was Dark Crisis. Yeah.
It's a crisis. It's a crisis regardless. But
his look was horrible too. It was like, where's he going with this mohawk? Like
he was in a Lazarus pit after he got killed by
and the series, the Shadow War. But still, it was just like you're right though. It should have been way more longer. It was a bad book.
Yeah, except half the comic, them beating the living crap out of each other, and we're hoping Nightwing is going to survive. But, didn't turn out that way.
The old Robin would have gave him much more of a fight than he did in that book. The old Robin, what was it? Teen Titans? Which the one was it? 45 when he attacked all the Titans individually. When he threw him out, did he throw him out the window? Dick fought him.
He threw Dick out the window.
He fought harder, way harder.
It gets harder.
It gets hard. Real hard. Yeah, one of the things is even you're saying about Deathstroke, they've done this with so many characters. Just as an aside, in Steve Orlando, when he did that JLA book at the beginning of Rebirth, he had Prometheus that ended up being such a big threat. He got taken down by a random lady with a taser in a crowd of people. She just tased him, and that's what anybody. There's no real characters that are going to really be hard hitting, and I'm with the deal. Coming out with a book that's just called The Terminator now, and just have a Deathstroke book where he just rips through everyone. Have Deathstroke versus the DC universe, but
probably some copyright issues.
Yeah, probably. Spell it different. Terminator.
Terminator. That was the interesting thing about Failsafe. Failsafe was effectively like a T-800, was he not? Just kind of like tearing through them. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah, and it was funny. I mean, he even played it up. I mean, one point he's walking through fire in there with the exoskeleton. You're like, yeah, that's Terminator, but it's fun. It's a fun deal.
It's good.
Yeah. It's nice seeing everyone get their asses handed to him. Yeah. Batman's like, oh my God, is Stephanie dead? She's on the ground, not moving. He just smashed her. He's a robot.
At one point, Signal was in the background getting his just skull bashed in. I'm like, everybody's dead.
He was getting skull banged. Yes,
good. He was. We need to kill more Bat Family. Yes. We need to kill more spiders.
We didn't kill any of them, but they're in the hospital. You know what I mean?
He can send them to the sun to recuperate.
I was waiting for Jace Fox, honestly, to come in and save the day at the last minute, but that didn't happen.
He's in New York. Got time for that. Common Sense says original characters from the new age of DC heroes have more personalities and development than the Teen Titans Academy. That's for sure. I agree with you. There was some really good stuff in there. I really like Damaged. I really like Silencer. That terrific series it had was really good as well. There are a couple of misses here and there, but Silencer should still be in the damn comic book universe.
Yeah, should be.
Yeah, there was a great story there. There's a lot of terrain they can cover in that series right there. It's a lot of uncharted
really
territory.
Good Victor Bogdanovich art on it after.
He was destroying them. Yeah, he was destroying it. He did a great job. Do you think he did a better job than JR?
Yes.
I think he's more memorable. Yeah, he fit. Yeah, he looked really great there. Yeah, and he got better once he left there. And then he went to Marvel and he did Wolverine. It was like, oh man, if this guy, you let him go loose, he can do a lot.
Yeah, and then he went back on Detective Comics. Unfortunately, that was a little bit wasted. But I like the new Age of Heroes. It's too bad they couldn't stick with any of the characters. We just don't see any of them anymore.
Yeah.
Jordan Fugate, or also known as Jordan Fugate, still think World's Finest is the best thing going on at DC right now. Hard to believe it's on the same label as all their other books. It definitely stands out in the crowd in a good way.
Yeah, I'm hoping that when they end up Dark Crisis, that again, that's the blueprint. Just go back to things that feel like they're classic, feel like the legacy means something and all of that going on, and just kind of have a soft reboot with that. Just, like Rebirth was. The idea, hey, we apologize. We ended up losing our way. Here you go. And use Mark Waid's deal to set that up there because it's really good.
Terry Young asked, if you got to revamp the DC publishing line, what monthly titles would you have? Batman, Detective Comics, Superman, Action Comics, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Aquaman, Green Lantern, Flash, and then I would do another 5 to 6 miniseries every month. Yeah, that'd always be ongoing. That you'd be churning through.
Cycle through.
Yeah, that would be a better way to do it.
And then if something sells, you realize what characters are selling,
and then it goes from there. Right, because that's how we thought. That's how I thought. The route they were going on when they did like the Freedom Fighters and then the Metal Men. Like every time those 8 series ended, something else came up. And I was like, that's really great for them. They should do that. Explore much more of the DC universe in a level like
Marvel does it. They just announce them as ongoing at first, and then they become the minis, but they still cycle through. But it makes everything feel more vibrant. It makes everything feel fresh when you get a new book every 6 months. That's something new and takes place of something else. I think that's the way to go. I think, Wes, exactly what you said is what I would go with.
Yeah, throw Teen Titans and maybe Young Justice in there to have a couple more team books, and that's exactly what I would do. Caleb says, Skip, I'll send you a sketch of her in DM.
Oh, hey. Yeah, I appreciate you, CL. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Photorealistic proportions, please. Appreciate it.
Welcome. Thank you very much for supporting the cause, Cal Lyle. People ask about this, so we'll talk about all this MCU stuff. I call it MCU Troubles. It's news. Obviously, Disney Plus has more subscribers now than Netflix. Immediately, they're bumping up the prices on Hulu and Disney Plus.
That's
obviously
crazy.
That's part of the Disney family of channels. Also, you have ESPN Plus there. You've got all the feedback and I guess fighting with the fans over the CGI related to She-Hulk, as well as the new announcements of castings with Ironheart, where you had the one person from RuPaul's Drag Race apparently is going to be an ongoing regular cast member, and also this a person from Australia that's going to be an ongoing series regular on Ironheart. Skip, you're a man of the people. You like watching all the Disney Plus stuff. Does this stuff cause you worry?
Doesn't really cause me worry. I mean, I think like most people, I am in the group of people that believes that Marvel is past like their kind of heyday and everything, so they're looking to expand into different things. But I mean, this is to me, this is a natural progression and order of things. You can't keep a run up like that for too long. And now at this point, I think Kevin Feige is aware of that and is just trying to move into different sectors to see if he can, kind of keep it fresh. But as potent as the MCU was before, it's just really never going to return to that again. And I think we'll get flashes of it here and there. Like, Kang Dynasty, I think is going to get people pretty stoked. And of course, Secret Wars is going to be up there, but it's just not going to be like it was before. So I think this is just a symptom of things just kind of running its course.
I think we're seeing the death knell.
Oh, you do?
They're on the death throes? It's almost
no. What I mean is they're it's about to end up on life support. Look, it's very difficult to ever recapture magic whenever you catch lightning in a bottle in the cultural zeitgeist. And Marvel managed to do that for phases 1 through 3. It's you have to make a lot of the correct steps with catching lightning in a bottle at first and then building upon that and building upon it and building upon it. And they did it. And the problem was Endgame put a rather clear end to it. By the name and by the plot resolution. There wasn't existing threats. So then they had to essentially restart. And all of phase 4, now you can blame the pandemic, you can blame a lot of different things, has been a clusterfuck. Yeah, the Z-list characters doing playing, or in the case of the Black Widow movie, it's a movie that's irrelevant because it's a prequel.
Yeah, you almost don't need it in some sorts, right?
It should have been released when Captain Marvel was. It would have had more impact then. But now they need to essentially not only recapture that same lightning, they've got to rebuild the audience, because phase 4 took a lot of the goodwill it didn't erase it completely, but it significantly reduced the goodwill that the overall MCU and the Marvel brand has in the culture. You see it, like you could have just said, well, we're not sure yet. We did Shang-Chi, we did the Eternals, they're all new properties. We just did Thor 4 and it kind of wasn't. It was nowhere near the success that even 3 was. 2 sucked. 1 was pretty good. 2 did better, but it was more disliked. 3 did very well. But 4 is back to like 2 levels for numbers. And the interest, the conversation around it nobody cared. That's a big thing to try to recover. That we've seen it happen in other things that really hit a grab onto the culture and really drag the culture with it, or the culture grabs onto it and drags it with it. You saw it with WWF in the 90s, where it started gaining that mainstream popularity. It's never been able to reachieve that same height. You saw it with even sports, different sporting things have not grabbed it. Music,
music was in the 2000s. It was I think it hit its peak because it was like anybody can collaborate with anybody at that particular time, and it was well perceived.
There's nothing that stands out now. And everything is just a blob of mediocrity.
And except Blackpink, right?
I have no idea what this is.
Comeback coming up, Doc. I know you're out.
That's K-pop.
Oh, it's a K-pop thing. I ain't stepping in that one.
Yeah.
I know better. But so you need there's nothing that really stands out, and the MCU stood out. It stood out from the rest of media.
Yeah.
And I think they lost it. They're about to. So it's not their death knells in the fact that they're going to end up going away. It's that they are going to return to the blob of mediocrity in the middle.
Yeah, it has to be because sooner or later the people that kept it alive, that made it alive, such as the IE, everybody that's on this channel and on this panel, and individuals just like us, we stop caring after a while because it exists with us too long. Because see, the excitement is going, they're stealing it, and then after that, you just have other people who are in it just for the wave of it. They love anything. You notice, Doc, when you can go on Twitter right now, the same stuff that you're telling about Thor right now, there are people on there right now that'll tell you, you know what, I love Thor, I love the She-Hulk, I love the Eternals, I love Shang-Chi. They find nothing wrong with them. Nothing. The minute you find something wrong with it, they want to pile on you. And it's not, and they're not being honest. They're not being honest. All these movies are not 10s. All these TV shows are not great. I watched this show. It's really great. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time watching it. Why do you have to tell me that? That means you are working, you are doing the most to just prove a point. You don't have to do that. We know you're not one of us, when you talk like that.
You can kind of disregard the real stands for this kind of shit. The problem is you just listen to how much conversation, good or bad, how much conversation is there about the MCU now versus before Endgame or even immediately after Endgame.
Yeah, it's really mild. The only ones that you hear is really the Disney shows, the Disney shows.
And even then,
the show is coming up. I'm so excited. Yeah, right.
You know what? But the thing is, it's not even that. You're not hearing people in conversation in real life.
Yeah,
people were talking about going to movies and going to see the people that you just talked to in real life. They were talking about going and seeing like whatever new Marvel movie was coming out.
Yeah.
Now it's not only kind of become a joke. Like it's it's almost become a punchline.
Yeah.
But it's also when you do hear it, it's a little bit of a punchline. But now people just aren't talking about it anymore. They've gone, the culture has moved past it. Yeah. They don't have anywhere to go, but they're just like, we're done with this.
Yeah.
And it's hard to recap.
X-Men. That's the destination.
It is, assuming that Marvel uses the successful formula from phase 1 on it, which was don't deviate from the fucking source material.
Yeah.
And we have where it's almost completely likely that they are going to deviate significantly from the source material. Yeah. They'll end up they're going to end up using a lot of the Krakoa shit for X-Men. Guess what? That's not what made the X-Men ultra popular. They need to do, I know that Fox just tried to do it with their the First Class universe in their X-Men, where it was each decade, but they still need to go and grab stories from the late 70s and all through the 80s. That's where they need to be grabbing their storylines from. But we know that they're going to grab them from today. And well, you're going to pick the least popular era of X-Men to make movies about and wonder why you end up with the least popular franchise of X-Men that's going to be basically looked on the same as Last Stand was and Apocalypse and Phoenix were at Fox. They need to, and same with Fantastic Four. They're going to get into, look, we know there's already a lot of talks about Giancarlo Stanton playing Professor Xavier. While he's a very good actor, he's not fucking Xavier.
Sorry,
he's not. And they'll do it and come out, and people are gonna be like, "Well, that's not Xavier."
It's like you do hear it online, and it was like,
he's a great actor. They can put him, if they put him as either Xavier or Magneto, people are gonna say, "Well, that's not them," and move on. And so they're going to miss what made phase 1 and phase 2 successful and allowed them to capture that cultural zeitgeist and really drag the audience with them, because they used successful movies. They stayed true to the successful storytelling of the comics and just put it into a medium that the general public liked.
Well said. Yeah. Well said.
We do have some folks in the chat speaking here. Let's see a few of these super chats. Cal Lyle, Skip, what is your Twitter name? He wants to DM you this.
I think he has.
My bad. It's Skipintosh. Skipintosh.
Very nice. He also says, "Did you see the MODOK design for Ant-Man 3?" Yes, I did. It did not look good. No. Did you see it, Doc?
Wait, was that the one with Joe Doc?
Let me see if I can. I think I have this somewhere.
Oh wait, no. Oh, was that the one that looked like a weird transformer?
Oh yeah, that's not him, right?
I've got it. I'm pretty certain I've got it. Wait, no, I don't have it. Let me find it.
I could. Yeah, I thought it was the one that looked like a goofy transformer.
Yeah,
he kind of does.
Full body figure, right?
Metal.
Yeah, it's all metal instead. There's no like skin on.
He looks like a bug or something.
Yeah, it's like a really fat bug.
I can't find a good high res image of it, but it looks stupid. Let's put it that way. Kenneth Dowling says, "I feel like Chip Zdarsky is developing into one of the all-time great comic writers. From his Marvel work on Spider-Man and Daredevil, now to DC with Batman. I can say confidently he is top 5 today." I agree. I think he's one of the top 5 comic book writers today.
All-time great. You gotta wait.
We got a little work.
It's him, and you know what? Again, we talked about this again earlier. Ram V a little bit. Like there's something there. There's like it's the way he approaches the story and how he paces it. That's what I admire about him. It's a rarity in most books these days now. He paces it in such a way where it was like, you know what, if you take all those elements out and you put other particular individuals in it too, it would make a lot of sense. It would make a lot more sense in a lot of other books.
My deal with Ram V, though, he's kind of in one genre. He kind of is a horror type writer, and he's got to expand. Like Chip Zdarsky impressed me because of going from a lot of comedy stuff, but then he really hit that Daredevil run is really deep, and so I think Ram V should, in his deal, if you were his manager, you might say, listen, you got to branch out a little. Let's see another side of you.
There's nothing wrong with doing the Brubaker where you have
there's not, but you go like all-time great and things. But then again, Brubaker is pretty good. So.
He might be one of the all-time great kind of crime noir stories.
His Captain America was very, very, very great. It's there. It's almost up there to. Well, I'm scared to do the Mark Grunwald stuff, but it's there. It's in that area where it's, when you read it, you appreciate it. You appreciate the whole way. That's how Captain America is supposed to be right now. Yeah. If you want to do that, not the stuff we're seeing now with him and the Falcon, and they looking like fake Green Lanterns.
I don't know what's going on with those.
All those Captain Americas. Come on, it's like
McDonald says that design for MODOK was a fan design. It's not real.
Oh.
So hopefully that's the case, because it did not look
like Josh's hat right there.
Yeah. He looked like he's about
a banjo or something.
No, he looked like he's about to do an album. Yes,
exactly.
I look at it as long as we don't have to have Patton fucking Oswald in it, we're good. Because that's who's been doing the MODOK.
What do you think about Chip Zdarsky, Doc? Do you think he's a top 5 guy today?
Purely because of the lack of anyone better. Yes. I'm not saying he's a bad writer. He's
You're right. Because
the
pool is so low. So I get it. Yeah. So
it's a shallow talent pool.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Like if it was up, that the levels were up, if everybody was up, you have a better choice in a wider selection.
Honestly, the best writer writing today is Peter David.
I know. Yeah, I actually might agree.
Okay.
Skip, you say Ram V's number one, right?
That's right, baby. Give me Ron V over everybody right now.
Wow.
And you didn't want to read his books. I had to make you do it.
Well, yeah, but do we have to talk about that right now in front of everybody? Can we wait till we're offline to
all right, I didn't mean to call you out. My bad.
All right, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I think Chip Zdarsky is going to stand out there. He does have what I think is one of the better single issue Spider-Man comics you'll ever read in Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man 310. His Devil's Reign event, compared to its contemporaries, is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
The start of his Batman has been pretty darn good. His Daredevil run is memorable, but almost every Daredevil run's memorable. That thing just gets a lot of good creators. So we'll see what happens with Zdarsky and what his career trek is through the big two, but he's definitely off to a good start. He's on the character, the title of the character. So that's a good sign for him. Goblin said, I'm mad that the MCU got the Hood, aka Parker Robbins. He's going to be in the Ironheart show. I have plans for the Hood in the future, but now the MCU has hated him.
Well,
I mean,
all right. Anyone really loved the Hood? He's been an OD. I've never really cared for the Hood. I've been reading.
He's tainted now. Damn it, he's in Ironheart.
Who cares? It's the Hood.
Every character is someone's favorite character, Drew.
If someone's favorite character is the Hood,
do you really like comics then?
Yeah, Josh, I get it. I get it because he just got a Hood. He really doesn't see his face much, and he's
a vigilante.
He's very low tier. He's one of the the guys.
Nobody.
Yeah, he's the guy that in the old Marvel books he would have been in every book. Like for that one shot issue, maybe a Spider-Man team up, he would have been in that, or a Marvel 2-in-1. I get it. Or it's the issue with Spider-Woman or a Sling issue with Shang-Chi. He'll be in it for this one particular. I get you.
Dang, Jerome called him a jobber. He said he's a jobber.
He's one of those guys. He is. He always was, though. He's a
jabroni.
Yeah, they just leveled him up during that New Avengers run, but he always kind of was. He was the Whiplash. He was the constrictor.
He's got the ghetto blaster, and that's it.
That's all he got.
Those guys. The guys that open the wrestling show, they open it. They know they're about to fight this big guy. He's the one that just got the trunks. That's it. There's no name on the trunks.
Nothing.
Hey,
does he even have elbow pads? He ain't got no elbow pads. He ain't got no intro music.
Yeah. Yes, he's fighting Big Daddy Cool. He comes out at the beginning of the show. And he's already in the corner.
There to eat the pin.
He's just getting ready. It's like,
you gotta eat the pin.
Yes,
he's there for the squash match.
My goodness, guys! I'm sorry, Comic Sense. I'm rooting for you, and I hope the Hood has a good representation in Ironheart. And hopefully they do something with that character. Dylan Lindsay says people like looking at visually pleasing characters. I'm not buying the next God of War game because their version of Thor looks like a drunk uncle you have that may or may not hit his wife. I haven't seen this. I've played a little bit of God of War, but not very much. Is it that horrific? Skip, you seem like a video gamer.
I've never played God of War actually. I used to watch my cousin play it, but I didn't see the previews for it. Dang, they got Thor looking bad though. Man, that sucks.
We got any video gamers here, or are we just comic book nerds?
I don't give a fuck about video games.
I just think if it may or may not beat his wife, he does. There's no may or may not. That's the deal. But yeah, I haven't even seen it. I used to love the God of War games, but yeah, I'm a little out of touch in the games. There's too many comics nowadays.
But yeah, absolutely. Everyone does like visually pleasing characters. I think that's one of the reasons a lot of characters don't get over these days. But why a character like Punchline, Drew, kind of gets a lot of attention because you're like, oh my goodness, this character looks amazing. Same thing with Yara Flores' Wonder Girl. Like a beautiful character? What?
Yeah, great designs, great ideas with how they look, but then there's nothing below the surface. That's all that's there. Just flash.
By the way, I was wrong. The MODOK doesn't look like a Transformer. He reminds me of a Decepticon. Sorry. Just needed to clarify.
Well, it's the Doc is Wrong show. Welcome back, everybody.
Doc is wrong. Yeah, you know, I mean, and especially if it's supposed to be more like the Norse version of Thor, like I hope they get that right, because
now the Walt Simonson version of Thor in his series Ragnarok on IDW is rough looking, but he's been returned from the dead and he's kind of a corpse.
That book,
which makes sense.
Yeah, and that one is supposed to be more of the Norse one, right? The current
absolutely.
one that Walt's doing. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Lots and lots of Norse mythology, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but that man he's still got it. Let's put it that way. He can still write and illustrate.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kyle Miles says, I want my Savage Hulk back. Have Red, B, and other villains set up the leader to be this puppet master villain for the fight in the final fight. I just like a good version of Hulk. You know, there's so many different iterations of him, but I don't mind like the mindless savage that loses all sense of humanity as soon as he turns into Hulk and Banner can't really fight back anymore.
I agree with you. The whole Sal Buscema run was based on that, from like 197 to almost, was it past 300? That whole run of the Hulk was so great because of the mindless aspect of it. And he always had the extra special guest star. He's fighting Captain Marvel, he's fighting Captain America, he's fighting Iron Man, but then he fights a few villains. That was a really great time right there. Bill Manilow did a lot of the writing on that. That was some great stuff in there. That was the prime Essential Hulk right there.
Well, obviously the Peter David's kind of the best known, but that was a different take, Doc, where he's kind of looking at different layers of what Bruce Banner could be, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Peter David spent a lot of time messing with, you know, playing with all the different layers of the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was most of what his run was. And even today with his you know, the Maestro trilogy that they did was still focusing on the different layers of, you know, Bruce's subconscious and personalities. You know, you back
the Hulk trying to bury him. I don't want you to ruin this for me.
Yeah,
taking over the world. I don't need you now.
But the you know, you had back in the original run, it was first it started as Joe Fixit, and then the Green Hulk, and well, first it was the Gray Hulk, then the Green Hulk, then Joe Fixit, which was a different iteration of the Green Hulk, and then the Rage Hulk, and then you ended up into the Professor Hulk, and like the way that they conflict with each other, and the way that Bruce fits in there. Yeah, Peter David spent his entire run basically psychologically dissecting Bruce Banner and all of his personalities.
Yeah.
And you got the introduction to Todd McFarlane at Marvel Comics.
Exactly. And so I still love a lot of those Todd Hulk covers.
Yeah. They're beautiful. So underrated. Yeah. Cal Miles says, all I see of the MCU now is Kevin Feige's white guilt. What do you think about that, Jerome? Is that what you see on the MCU now?
There might be a little bit of that. You know, there's a lot of meat in there, because you know what? Every time that there's a show coming out, they're doing the most to cater to an audience that's not quite there for them all the time, and they run away from the core base. Doc was just talking about this earlier. They run away from the source material. They immediately either do a mantle or gender. You know, it's just too much. When do you have one where it's just, all right, you know what, they're gonna do right by it and just be honorable by it, and they can't. They just seem like they can't. They just can't. They keep turning everything topsy-turvy. You just had an episode with the Ironheart. I ran from that immediately. It was like, come on, it just doesn't line up. It doesn't need to even be in there. You know, tell you the truth, she don't need the show. But you know,
that was the first mistake.
Yeah. She just doesn't need a show. Like, come on. Like, but you know, there's something there. He's there's some meat there.
Kenneth Dowling says after Endgame, they should have restarted, reset, and recast Iron Man, Steve Rogers, Thor, and do those classic comic book stories Kevin Feige sold out to identity politicians and discarded the comics.
Meat again. There's a lot of meat in there again.
I sort of disagree. Yes, they should have reset. However,
I'm referring to the bottom part, Doc. I'm sorry.
Just recasting and doing those. Look, we saw a lot of those stories in phase 1, 2, and 3. That's fine. They could have expanded the universe and redone it now that they had the rights to all their characters back and see how the interactions would be with the Fantastic Four in a universe where the Fantastic Four exist and other mutants exist and Spider-Man exists, because Spider-Man needs to be an early character. Even though he's young, he's still an early introduction to the universe. So they're making do with best as they can, but at the same time, they left all their big chips off the table and set fire to the ones that they did have. So
we still got the Galactus trilogy, Doc.
I know we still have it, but you know what? Honestly, Fox fucked that up for them too. Because people hear Galactus, they're going to think of that stupid cloud again.
I don't think a lot of people saw that movie, hopefully.
A lot of people did.
Eventually, they're going to have to reset everything. You can only go so far with this stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe do an Ultimate Universe. Although they incorporated so much of the Ultimates and stuff like that into the MCU, it might as well be the Ultimate Universe. Really.
So much of the MCU is directly sourced. It's ripped right from the Ultimate Comics.
Yeah, absolutely. Inspired by the Ultimate Universe. Cal Lyle says, MCU MODOK looks like something out of Power Rangers, which says something because the Avengers game design of him was done with care and it's better. You never want to compare anything to Power Rangers because they go cheap on all the costumes. You know what I mean?
That's the charm of it.
It's the charm. That's why kids like it. I showed Power Rangers to my 7-year-old and he was immediately fixated. I was like, I don't get it.
I'm telling it's almost like punk music. You look at those things, you're like, I can make that. I can make that in a hot weekend. The whole set, everything. It's easy. So that's why I do.
Yeah. And then it's the age of it. Remember remember those things are like 71, 85. They're from all the time in Japan alone, right? So when they bring it over here, they're mixing it up with new characters or new people along with it. So when we see it, it seems dated. It seems very dated, but it worked in the 70s where the source material originally is from. So when you see it, it's like, oh, that's why it looked like that. They're fighting and they're moving 100 miles fast because that's how they did the shows way back in the day. So
when they took all the action scenes from the Japanese show and then they reshot the talking with the mask off and stuff.
Yeah. So that's where it throws us off. It's like watching a bad karate flick and they're taking it.
There's no such thing as a bad karate flick, first of all.
That might be true.
Especially the older ones. The newer ones. Like the 70s. I still watch the 70s stuff. Like anything from the 70s, because it's a lot of teachable moments in it as well. So, very often when you watch a lot of those shows, I love seeing it. And I love seeing the action sequences when, somebody get trumped and they get hit with an extra chop that sent them out the window. I'm like, oh, you got him.
Yeah.
Look how you hit him.
Kenneth Dowling says, Doc, I won't disagree with you on Peter David. And shout out to Drew. I'm actually reading Writing Comics by Peter David now. Thanks for recommending.
You're welcome. Great book. Great.
Is that on Amazon?
Yes. Right, huh? Yes, it is.
I'm gonna look that up. Yeah, I like to read stuff like that.
Hey, we're back. We're back to the Doc is Right show.
Okay.
Did we ever leave?
No, we never did. Doc might be momentarily.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut, Doc. You know what I mean?
Doc occasionally has momentarily incorrect information, but he's never wrong. No. Look, Peter David, I think, is right now the best writer. Everything he's touching is successful, and it's popular, and it's critically.
Well, it looks like Genis Val wasn't successful.
Genis Val might be a blip.
That was going to be harder to sell, though.
Yeah,
it was a hard sell. It wasn't a super popular and successful. It wasn't a super successful title when it was released.
I've gone back to read those. It's an amazing story, and it's a shame it's not being read more. And
yeah, what was that? Captain Marvel Volume 3 or something.
Yeah, he did.
That was the one that came out in 99.
Yeah,
99, early 2000. Yeah, it was. It was about Genisval, the son of Marval. And
you know that's Skip's favorite comic story in the history of the world, right?
What, the Genisval or
Captain Marvel?
Oh, that's a good book.
Right. Okay,
yeah,
that's a good story.
Book. Yeah, that's a good book.
Skip has dropped many tears to that comic book.
Yeah, that was a hard book to see when it first came out because he was a very attractive character. So to see him die in such a way like that as a teenager, I think I was 11, 12 seeing that. It was wild. It was wild to see that because you always saw him on the covers of the early books from the 70s when he's with the Avengers or he's fighting Thanos and he just looks so great. And that was like one of those major deaths we saw, and that was a character that they never really tried to bring back. It took them years. By the time he came back, that's when they were building on the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah,
no, they didn't. I don't think they actually brought him back until.
You're Gwen Stacy. Those are the only ones who can die.
Yeah, those two.
And Uncle Ben.
But Doc,
Uncle
he
Ben
never came back. Pretty much.
Why didn't he come back
at that time?
He came back in Civil War.
Yeah, and finally. But
it was all it was original one brought to the present.
Yeah,
and then sent back. By the end of the issue.
All right, so this is what Kenneth Dowling says. He says, "I trust Josh's feedback, but I'm still worried about Daredevil Born Again. I don't trust this regime at Disney to do it right."
Neither do I.
I love that story, but I guess they try to already adapt it, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be the Born Again story. It's going to be like Born Again into the MCU type thing where they're going to take some liberties and it's not going to quite be that story.
They're simultaneously saying we're doing Daredevil Born Again and we're making this Daredevil much more lighthearted.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, you can't do that.
I say this to everyone, just do it to protect yourself, because I think we've seen even the closest they get to adapting things, they don't adapt it by the letter. Don't expect them to adapt it perfectly. Don't expect it to be very much like the comics. It's almost like a comic book, like the average comic book cover. The cover doesn't always represent what's inside of the book, and most of the time it's not even artists. So they're using the name to get the people that know, but normies who they're really selling this stuff to don't know what the hell Born Again is for the most part. So stop expecting it to be like the comics, and then you won't be so disappointed when you watch it. Or you just, and even disappointed, even if you just don't like Disney, at least you won't be as frustrated because you care about the original source material. So just lose that expectation, because they're never going to do it. They're never going to do it any justice. They're never going to do it close to the storyline.
Skip, the whole success of the MCU rested upon not only them making decent stories, but actual comic fans evangelizing for them. Pissing them off with more of this bait and switch bullshit is the quickest way to guarantee future failure.
I mean, they could fail. I'm talking about people's personal expectations.
I understand.
I'm not talking. I mean, when you know what someone's MO is, like, what do they say? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like, at what point are people going to start taking responsibility for when you know what someone does? When are you going to start adjusting your expectations so you don't continuously get let down? I'm not even saying don't call them out on it. I'm just saying your own personal expectations. If you expect that it's going to be like the comic,
you need to at least have the same fucking tone to the comic. That's my point. You can't do a lighthearted Daredevil doing
stuff in that comic book. I don't
think I'm not talking. Look, I'm not. Again, tone doesn't mean every individual plot point. I'm saying you cannot simultaneously do Born Again, which is a raw, emotional, dark, emotional journey, and lighthearted Daredevil at the same fucking time. They're complete opposites of each other. And right now we're seeing them talk about doing lighthearted Daredevil. That's what they're doing in promotion of his appearances in this She-Hulk show. Oh, you're going to see a much more lighthearted Daredevil, but at the same time, they're saying we're going to do Daredevil Born Again. Daredevil Born Again is a raw story. You can't do raw story with a lighthearted character. You can't.
All right. We got to start wrapping this bad boy up. We got Cal Mile. They showed us early concept art for Gore, which made me angry because it was accurate. It showed they don't care anymore. Well, I don't know that it's that they don't care, but once they cast Christian Bale, once he was going to play the Gore, the God Butcher character, I'm sure he wanted his face to be recognizable. You know what I mean? He's kind of a big actor.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what kind of went into it. But what did you think of Gore in that Thor Love and Thunder movie, Skip?
I really liked Christian Bale's performance. He was obviously like the best performer. I would even say he was the highlight of the movie. He was the thing that I wanted more of and the most of. I mean, and yeah, again, like going back to Comics Accurate. I mean, like, yeah, they, with all the money that they got for CGI and stuff, like, yeah, maybe they could have slapped like a green thing over his nose. I do think it's difficult for a person to have something covering their nose and still trying to like talk and not talking in his normal thick accent that he does, but talking a more, like a less accented way. So I could see how. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I think overall, I really enjoyed it. I liked it. Again, I fixed my expectations because I didn't expect it to be like the comic. In the comic, it was raw. It was like the comic iteration was obviously much better. But for what this portrayal, this iteration, just like in comics, we have multiple iterations of characters. This iteration of Gore, I thought the performance was really good, and it had some of the most creepy and my favorite moments in the movie, which I liked more than I didn't like.
Man, these stupid nudie websites, get out of here.
Yeah, they are busy today.
The error occurred.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I was going to talk to you.
Hopefully they're gone. Yeah. McDonald disagrees with you, Skip. He says Thor Love and Thunder was trash, baby. Bale was great with what he had to do, but the movie itself was the worst in the MCU easily.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Captain Marvel was worse than this, and I liked Captain Marvel more than I didn't. I just think it was worse than Love and Thunder. But hey, Josh is my man, so hey, I respect the opinion.
Cal Vile, Doc, have you read Immortal Hulk?
I have not, because honestly, I read the first issue, and Al Ewing went on a anti-gun rant in the first issue, and I said nope, tapping out.
Oh man, so the next 23
I know
bad boy are fantastic.
I've heard great things about it, but by then it was too late. I wasn't going to go. I hate trades, so I'm not doing it that way. The singles were too expensive, and fuck digital.
Yeah. What if we put it in black and white and you read it left to right or right to
absolutely
left?
Not.
You could read Immortal Hulk number 25 and then just never read it again.
Nah, that thing was
that's what everyone else did too. They got to Immortal
I was waiting when Wes,
25.
when you were saying like, oh, that, and you stopped before 25 when you said those first bunch, because they were, but 25 was garbage.
That's so bad.
Yeah,
that's when everyone else stopped reading too, and it went from the number 1 book to the number like 70 books.
Yeah. And you got the idea of
25
pretentious.
Wow.
Walt's Ragnarok is amazing. They copied Endgame's fat Thor trope. He should have liked an older version of Magni from the previous game, for anyone who cares, for my opinion. Also, hello, everyone. Oh, hello, Dylan. Thank you so much for supporting the channel.
Right.
The Walt Simonson Ragnarok series from IDW is absolutely brilliant. I hate it when people talk about IDW as if they only do licensed comic books. Almost all the really good stuff they do right now is all the original stuff, like this Ragnarok series from Walt Simonson. The Kill Lock stuff that they got there. Obviously, they got some other stuff coming out, but definitely check that out. And if you haven't seen it and you read it and then you see the art, you're going to be like, why is he not at Marvel doing Thor?
Yeah, because it does look good. Like once you look at the exteriors, it's like this guy didn't even lose a step. Like, even John Byrne has lost a step a little bit in some of his ways when the way how he drew his characters sometimes. But Walt seemed like he should have never left Thor in the first place. Like, he could have just went and did another 25 more issues. The way how you see this Ragnarok stuff, it looks very beautiful. It looks very beautiful. It's just that I would see an issue, but I'm not. But it may be like issue 5, and it's like, oh, this look great. I can't look at it until I get my hands on the other one. So that's why I never like dwelled in it too hard. But it's great.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Basically, Thor is dead, then he gets resurrected, and all the other gods are dead. And he's got to kind of figure out what's going on as they. I think he was stuck behind a seal, and someone broke it. It's a bad idea. He goes out and gets his hammer and everything. Damn good series. Kenneth Dowling says, Doc, this is why I love Kenneth. I respectfully disagree with you on getting Marvel stories and movies. We haven't gotten Kree Skrull War. We haven't gotten Under Siege, Disassembled, or other heroes.
Those are all events, not solo movies. Those should have been Avengers movies, not. They're not an Iron Man movie. They're not a
Kree
Captain
Skrull
America movie.
War should be a Fantastic Four movie.
It's an Avengers movie.
That would be great. Yeah.
Kree Skrull War happened in the Avengers comics.
Got to introduce him somewhere, Doc.
I understand, but those are all Avengers movies that we didn't get.
I just want to point out how smart Kenneth Dowling is here, disagreeing with you. That's why he's my man.
And look, Doc, like that would be great for a Fantastic Four movie right now. The Kree Skrull War, have the Fantastic Four, or maybe a second movie of some sort. They would fit well in that. I mean, there's a little bit of that's when we got to go back to the
Avengers Defenders War, baby.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be fantastic. But they got to do the Defenders right. They got to do right by them. It hasn't been done right since the 70s. And maybe Kurt Busiek and Eric Larson, they try to rekindle that magic and have the right non-team there. But I don't have no expectations of redone hash stories for the Defenders nor the Invaders. They do the Invaders wrong.
So this is what Kenneth Dowling has to say. He wants to end on a light note, Skip. He saw Blood Diamond last night. Leo DiCaprio plays a diamond hunter with an African accent, and he got an Oscar nomination in a bizarre universe. Leo could play T'Challa. Huh?
Fuck yeah.
I didn't say he couldn't play T'Challa. I just said I didn't want him to play T'Challa. He could play. Leo could play anybody. Leo could. Man, what can't Leo DiCaprio do?
Leo.
He's Leo. You know what I'm saying? But that's you and Doc got to work that one out. That one's not the tip, baby.
Blood Diamond is a damn good movie. It'll make you a little bit depressed, but man, that thing was solid.
That's the one with him and Jimon Hansu, right?
Mm-hmm. When they're looking for his son,
that movie was crazy.
By the way, Skip, I want to thank you. I have never figured out how to pronounce that guy's fucking name. Thank you.
Oh, yep. Yeah. It's just like Django. The D is silent, baby. The D is silent.
Thank you so much to Kenneth Dowling for supporting the channel and everyone else. We've got Frank Zonka. He didn't put anything in here, but there was a message right after it. So my assumption is that this is what his actual question was. I originally liked the War World storyline, but it's been dragging out to get to 1050. I'm probably not going to read it. Anything with John Ken in it. What do you think will happen with Action 1050? I'm with him, Drew. They really stretched the story out far too long. It's all like I don't want to even recommend it. As far as 1050, I imagine it's going to be. Is it going to be tying into the Clark Kent Returns or Kal-El Returns stuff?
Probably, most likely, I'm sure. And they've got it. They're going to be at a crossroads. What are we going to do? You're going to have two Supermans on Earth. Superman and a Superboy, in my opinion. So they're going to have to figure out what are you going to do. You can't really necessarily have both. I mean, but like we've seen with Marvel with Captain America, you can't have both. One's going to going to cancel out, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he needs to hurry up and come back. That's
been over a year.
I think they're going to do something wacky. When you had Cal leave and he was talking to John, and when John was berating him for not helping the, other issues that happen, I think that they're going to say you end up doing your stuff with your, go green and nonsense, and I'll end up doing the big Justice League stuff. But
Superman will save the world, and John will fight climate change.
Exactly. Yes, I think, but again, then you have that problem of two Supermen. What's going to sell and what? Yeah, and then eventually maybe he'll just kind of go or become part of the Superman book. But
just chill for a while.
The War World story is dragging.
Yes,
it's been over a year.
It's good.
Yeah.
Dill Lindsay says, correction, Thor should have looked like Magni. A little correction on that one, but you are right, so everyone should be reading that Ragnarok series from Walt Simonson. Steve Kinkalo says, want to hop in once more before it ends. I usually don't get to watch live. Love the show. Everyone is great, and it's a blast every week. Kudos all. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you got to make it live. I know the timing isn't spectacular, but me being in the Philippines and most of the contributors being in the United States, this was the time that we were able to find where it kind of works, and I'm glad you were able to make it and watch us live. And we have such a good time here talking with everybody and goofing off and being, being geeks, basically. This is basically what you should expect from your comic book shop when you go in for your new comic book day. Just a bunch of good conversation with good people. So I'm glad you got to make it. Kenneth Dowling says, dude, so excited. Brian Hill's coming back to write Black Panther. Hell yeah. Can't wait for that in November. Have a great one, guys. Unfortunately, Skip, it only is a one-shot, but it is going to be a plus-size one-shot.
At least it'll get me buying Black Panther again. I stopped at a Coates run. I'm not buying any of the John Ridley stuff.
I've been reading it. I've been reading it.
Good.
Yeah. Jesus.
Everything I've been hearing about it has not been good, especially the most recent issues.
I haven't read the last two, which I've heard similar things, but I didn't get to those. But
I know you liked it better than Ta-Nehisi's quotes.
And he was like, no, we shouldn't have democracy here. He was like waking up sleeper agents and stuff. I was like, that's interesting.
I do like the concept of that. Yeah, the when you get to the most recent two, I think you'll understand why a lot of the, and I'm not in this group because I'm not reading it, but a lot of the recasters are attaching what's going on with the book to what's happening with that, and I think you'll see why when you read the most recent two.
Interesting.
Hey, if it's anything anywhere even close to as good as his Killmonger series, Brian Hill doing a Black Panther, let's hope to God this is his other test. Yeah, this is his it's a pilot program for him, because get John Ridley and Ta-Nehisi Coates the fuck away from Black Panther. In fact, the fuck away from comics. Just make them go away entirely. Wherever they're from, go back there.
I don't know. We haven't seen Brian Hill work at Marvel for a long time. I think the last thing he did really was that
Fallen Angels.
Yeah. So it's been almost 3 years.
The X-Men book, Fallen Angels, that 3 years?
Yeah. The 5-issue story right at the beginning of Dawn of X.
Yeah. When we came out with the House.
Y'all like that?
No.
No. The Fallen Angels was not good, but his Killmonger was great.
Yeah,
Killmonger was
awesome. I didn't see that then.
If you haven't read Killmonger, you need to go to your comic shop this week. Get you the trade. Don't listen to Doc. The Juan Ferreira art itself, you get. Who else you get? You get Kingpin in there. You get Bullseye. You get a lot of really cool shit in there. Okay. Origin story for Killmonger, absolutely fantastic.
Okay, got it.
So, thank you very much to everybody for all the great things. We had a good show today. Once again, we only got through the 3 topics, but I think we hit a lot of stuff. We were going off on different angles. Definitely here for the viewers, and if you guys want to talk about stuff, we love doing that. Let's talk about some comic books that we think people should be reading. Skip, I'm so glad that you got back. I'm glad that you're back in the YouTube comic book game. I know you were doing mostly Twitch there for a while, but now you're back in the YouTube game. There is a link in the video description if you want to support Skip's channel. Skip is amazing. He's been talking about Jonathan Hickman's, I think it was Fantastic Four recently. Definitely a lot of Ice Cream Man stuff. What do you think people should be reading this week?
Man, this week was a little bit of a rough one. I'm only gonna throw out. Yeah, it was. I'm gonna throw out just 2 recommendations. I'm gonna throw out Mindset number 2 by Vault Comics. Who is it? Zach Kaplan and John Pearson on the art. I really like John Pearson's art, and it's an interesting book, modern day little Silicon Valley thing. What are these apps controlling our minds? What's happening? So I like stuff like that. I'm a Matt Kent guy, so it kind of gives me a little bit of a Matt Kent feel. And then I am not an animal person. Go ahead and throw the tomatoes right now. I'm not an animal person. If I have to pick an animal, I pick dogs. But I grabbed Samurai Doggy #1.
That was good.
By Aftershock Comics. Yeah, and it was good.
Yeah,
it was really good.
Wow.
I was surprised. The art was super dope. But yeah, it was really good. So you might have to put your manga hat on a little bit if when you read it. But it was good. It was very quality. So Aftershock, they're usually pretty solid. So those are my two.
I'm sorry, sir.
Very
we
nice.
only recommend comic books here.
Ooh.
Hey, it didn't say it was manga, Doc, and it came in as a floppy. So I guess even by Doc standards, it checks the boxes.
It checks the boxes. I am fine with it.
There we go.
Also joining us, first time in a long time, we got Jerome Jumega, who's been renovating. He's been out on trips. He's having vacations with the old lady and all that good stuff. Good to have you back. What comic books do you think people should be reading?
Wes, I am doing catch up. The only last thing I read that was new was Dark Crisis 3, but primarily I'm reading Superman Up in the Sky, just currently right now. And I've been reading.
That's the Tom King Superman, correct?
Yeah.
Everyone likes that.
That's the only one I'm up to. I'm reading the third one when he's boxing already with the alien, but that was the only one. I'm so off. I haven't been catching up with a lot of new stuff, but
it happens. We're in the summertime. Life happens, brother.
Yeah, but this Dark Crisis, I'm a big fan of the Crisis on Infinite Earths anyway, so I'll be trying my best to stay committed in it, but
it's tough, isn't it?
It's tough. I love the Justice League 75. That was it. I love the launch off of it. That was actually Judgment Day is better than that, believe it or not. And I had no faith.
Judgment Day 1 was definitely better.
Yeah, I had no faith in that. And that came out better. I closed the book and I said, you know what? This wasn't bad. It was better than the Dark Crisis. So none of the Dark Crises are working out for me. I don't know. But that was the only new thing I read. And I'm an old guy. I'm reading all the old stuff, catching up.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Nothing's really worked out for them. Obviously, Jim, you're at Weird Science. DC got the podcast and all that stuff. What do you think people should be reading this week? What was the call?
It's a rough week. It really is. Jim said it. It was rough.
Drew had like 7 recommendations. I was like, where the fuck did you find these comic books? Because everything I read,
indies, babies, all indies.
And it's good though, because see, that's how, you know what, to tell you the truth, that's how I catch up with other stuff while me watching the show and catching the advice of what you guys put out. So sometimes if I'm like behind on a book, I usually catch up with you guys and I hear what you're saying and it's like, all right, let me give that a shot. So
8 Billion Genies is pretty good. Charles Soule, that's a good book. And
really?
and I'm gonna go a little shout out to Nerdy Girl Creates, who has been also suggesting it. I'm gonna once again suggest the Shonen Jump app. The best deal in comics.
Shout outs to Nerdy all the
time. That's an easy recommendation. You get a ton of stuff for $2 a month. So that's the go-to when I have a bad week of books. Just go and look at something on that because it was rough this week. It really was.
Yeah.
Obviously, Drew, you and I are going to be doing a best of the week, and I found some books to recommend, but it was a tough week. But you found a lot more, so there's going to be stuff for people to see, right?
Exactly. That's what you get with Comics Elite, guys. We read at least anywhere between 30 to 50 plus comics a week. So yeah, there's always going to be something to recommend. And yeah, the indies are killing it. And this was a good indie week.
Yeah, the indies.
Are you going to recommend Dark Crisis, Worlds Without a Justice League, Green Lantern?
You beat me to the punch, Wes. Of course I am. Jeez.
I can't believe it, man. I read that comic book. I was expecting to like it. I was like, I don't even know why this exists.
Yeah.
What's the story?
The cover looks bad, too, though. The cover is like, come on. Like,
the tie-ins in general. The tie-ins, the whole quote-unquote event just sucks ass. It needs to be scrapped.
Like
what are we talking about? What event?
Dark Crisis.
Oh, no. Yeah, you mean Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Yeah.
of Infinite Darkness, because they're going to change it again after it continues not to sell.
We were talking on our podcast. I'm waiting for them to change those tie-ins and add the, Crisis on the titles of these tie-ins will end up. You'll have to have 3 breaths while you're saying it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Long,
I called it out. It's like, how can you have a title this long? It's ridiculous.
It's so long.
I heard if you put the original ones under a black light, you'll see the rest of the title appear underneath it. It was
and
planned.
Candyman appears. I think it's crazy.
Eventually the titles are going to be longer than the text inside.
Yeah.
I don't know what some of these writers. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, they don't shut the fuck up.
Frank Zaka, thank you so much for supporting the channel. He says, FYI, I'm going to be signing at the Long Beach Comic Con the beginning of September. If anyone else is going to be there.
Oh,
Skip, that's your area. You going to be at that Comic Con?
I mean, if I can hop on a flight, I'm up in Northern California. So that's an hour flight down, or like a 6.5 hour drive. But Frank,
like a 6 hour drive.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Frank, if if you want to throw me a little gas money my way, I might come down there.
Oh yeah, you're right. Gas is only
California gas.
California, yeah. But definitely, if you're going to be in the area, there's a good chance that H8 Sigma Comics will be there as well. Going to be at Long Beach Comic Con. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I hope you enjoyed the show today. Let's close it out with Doc. Do you have any comic books you want to recommend? Perhaps an X-Men Legendary comic book.
Legends didn't come out this week.
Yeah, it did.
Not in my store.
Oh, they must not have got it, but X-Men Legends #1 came out this week.
Oh, fuck. Well, that's the reason why I was very disappointed in my options this week when I went to the store, because the only thing that I got was Prodigy Icarus Society.
You recommended it?
Actually, that's all right. I like the first Prodigy better. This one's all right. It's still fun. ASM was it's still kind of.
Oh yeah, a new one came out, right?
Yeah.
Doc and I will be reviewing Axe Judgment Day tomorrow.
Yeah, and we will be reviewing.
We're not talking about recommending it. Let's put it
I am going to recommend you spend as much of your money as you feel comfortable with on back issues, more back issues, because they're still better than everything being published today.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Mark Miller interview though that Wes did. If no one's going back and watched that yet, go back and check out Wes talking to Mark Miller. That was a footnote right there in the show in the channel's history.
Yeah,
well, thank you. That was a lot of fun. I think it was a good interview. He was definitely really excited about comic books. So
that was. I love hearing Mark talk. When he gets really animated, he becomes almost indecipherable. But
that's because you listen at 1.5 times speed.
I was only watching it 1.25. It's only 1.25.
Scottish accent,
and that's an accent. I love Mark though. I think he's still the best comic writer working regularly today.
Yes, 100%.
He's definitely got he's got a way with telling stories that definitely resonate with people. Last but not least, we do have Nicholas Rust that says, I'll echo, indies are the way. Thanks, guys. Well, thank you very much. Had a really good time. Great to have Skip back. Good to have Jerome back. I think next week we're going to try and get Trey Michael, who I think was in here, having a lot of fun on the show. The channel's growing. Great. We're all growing together, having a good time talking about comic books, and we'll be back next week right here for the Comics Aficionados on Thinking Critical.